Hi, welcome to TPK Roleplay. We are here for The Worm Witch today, which is a mad venture by the Mad Cartographer. We have three very, very good players today. I'm Harrison, I'm your DM. Let's go around and just say who we are, who we're playing today, and we will start with Gija.
Hi, I'm Gija. I'm playing Elevatia, who is a historian and an archaeologist with a knack for keeping adventure in her sights. She's an elf with long green hair and lilac eyes. And she prefers dusty old tombs and dangerous dungeons than the open air and fancy courtrooms.
Cool, thank you. On to Fail.
Hey everybody, I'm Fail Prime, and today I'm playing Day, kind of a traveling con man of sorts. He is I gotta remember exactly, a school of shadow, or a school of spirits bard. He is a shadow elf, and he's just trying to make a living telling stories as he travels from town to town.
Fantastic. And then Crimson.
Hey y'all, I'm Crimson Galaxy. I'm going to be playing Faith Attagirl, who is a Oath of Community paladin. She is basically just like a big, strong, good being who wants to help everyone out and wants to end all of the injustice happening to them.
Fantastic. I definitely loved Faith's surname when I saw it in the character sheet. Very, very cool. So, we are playing The Worm Witch. Your characters would all be familiar with each other. You may have known each other for a long time, or you may have just encountered each other on the road, on the latest legs of your journey. You are heading towards a rather small town called Burham. I will show you the art of Burham. It is nestled in... Hey, don't do that. There we go. Excellent. That should have come up for you all. Let me also jump to a different view for me as the player screen. There we go. So this is a small town nestled in the mountains in the Three Lands. It is predominantly a mining town. There are mountains nearby. There is the large, imposing Mount Temper, which has a degree of volcanic activity. There were recently some news articles and town criers talking about some sort of strange elemental dragon had turned up, but it was driven off or bargained with or slain by adventurers. People weren't entirely... The stories were very, very different and vague. But you know it to be a small, peaceful little place. You've been traveling with each other on the road, at least certainly for this last leg. As we begin to pull into town and you see the gates in the distance, what are each of you thinking? Why have you come to Burham? And we will start with Elu as I bring up her art.
Elu has heard that there, somewhere within this volcanic mountain, is an artifact, mysterious origin. Perhaps it's a book, perhaps it's a candle. It's very difficult to actually know what it is that you're looking for until you find it. But she's one to seek out lost knowledge wherever it may be, and she's keeping her eyes and her ears open to follow fate wherever it leads her.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, Fail. What about Day?
Day has come to town in search of coin. He is been traveling for a while, and his coffers are getting a little bit low, and he has stories of his time with the Orzovs to tell, and stories to spook the children. He's just wanted to tell his stories.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Crimson. How about Faith?
I think Faith came to town because she might have heard that some people might need some help. She doesn't know what kind of help, but she just always wants to lend a hand, and that's why she's on her way there, yeah.
Excellent. So we make it into Burham. It's a very, very traditional, sort of your typical looking town. The streets are filled with merchants peddling their wares, children running around, people just going about daily business. You are waved in through a small contingent of guards, typical of peacetime. You see a couple of wagons and horses being idly searched, which does not seem to be a town that's on particularly high alert. As you head through, you see a number of stores, a number of inns. What would each of you like to focus on doing within this town, within Borum? How do you want to find our feet?
I think from my standpoint, what I'm looking for as I'm walking into town is a dimly lit alleyway, and I know that sounds kind of not great, but I'm looking for a dimly lit alleyway where I can kind of set up and light some candles and really get an atmosphere for the stories that I've come to tell.
I love the visual. Someone like, "Hi, I'm new to town. Can you please direct me to the shadiest place possible for reasons?" Yeah, okay. There are lots of alleys between these clusters of buildings. You would probably all be aware that, when there are fires, they can just leap. The Great Fire of London, so close to my heart as a Brit. Flew through because there were no alleys or spaces. So you'd know there are blocks, and between them there are all these alleyways that crisscross. You can very quickly find a couple of locations as you're walking around that look like they could be ideal for setting up your... What do you call it, Day, when you have like your... Because obviously isn't like a studio or a parlor, or you throw like a performative name on it?
So I just call it the Orzhov Tales, and I tell the tales of the spirits of the Orzhovs from Ravnica, and kind of the horrors that lie within should you ever decide to travel to Ravnica and join that guild.
Okay. Crimson, I imagine you'd probably be aware, Faith, that most towns have notice boards, people petitioning for help. You see a couple of these dotted around. Yeah, I would. How many years? I forget how old Faith is. How long has she been doing this?
I think she's been doing this for just like a couple years, and she's like a 25-year-old that's just like trying to get out there and help as many people as she can. So she's only been at it for a few years, because her first few years of adulthood, she was actually a cook in a kitchen before leading a symbolic protest to undo an unpopular decree. And since she did that action of good, since then she's just been wanting to do more and more of it.
Okay. But yeah, you managed to find your way. We find an area where we see there is an alleyway where Day can begin to set up. Opposite it, you see there is a notice board. Elu, what are you doing at this time?
I mean, Elu is interested in all sorts of histories, so she will probably be listening today and asking questions about the guilds in Ravnica and what they did, whilst also keeping an eye and an ear towards the oldest building that she can find, and any old statues, any old buildings, basically all those sort of ancient-y things she kind of likes.
Okay. We'll go with Crimson first, if we're about to have some storytelling. If you're feeling comfortable with it, Fail, get ready for some storytelling in a moment, Day. You head over to the notice board, Crimson. You see there are a few things on here. Some are very mundane. You'd know that as often as petitions for help are on these things, there are just often trade requests as well. I have a surplus of fish. If anyone has, or just looking for work, people offering their services. You see there are a couple about problems with the mine, but they have mostly been torn off. We've seen weathered now, and from just a bit of an initial assessment, you would feel confident that whatever problems were happening up at the mine now seem to probably be resolved. They haven't been updated. You do see a handwritten note. It hasn't been done in a press or by an obvious scribe like many of the others, but just someone who's probably written each of their notes out individually. And it just says, sick child, reward given, respectable merchant swindled. Then it is just signed underneath by Vanda's Supplies. And that looks very... There's no water damage on that sign, on this notice. It isn't weathered. There's no rust on the pin that's in it. It looks particularly new.
Well, I would pull out a writing implement and write down the information just so the notice will stay up on the board, and then bring it over to Bales. I can't remember the name, I'm sorry.
Oh, the Orzhov Tales.
Orzhov. Okay.
Yep, Orzhov.
I would bring it over to Orzhov and be like, hey, check this out. It looks like there might be bandits or something.
I just want to say as well, I know this is a very, very irregular way of awarding inspiration. I want to give Faith inspiration for being the only person I know to ever responsibly transcribe the request for help instead of just tearing these things straight off the boards. So yeah, I'm giving Faith inspiration for that. Meanwhile, so just as Faith's coming over, Elu, you were going to ask Day about their work, were you?
I wanted to listen to these tales of horrific deeds that was mentioning in this Ravnica guild.
And as you're setting up those candles, you do notice already, Dave, that there are a couple of kids and stragglers at the end of the alley, sort of within earshot, peering and looking at what's going on here.
Well, it looks like we've got a bit of a crowd building here. How many of you have heard of the Great Orzhov Guild of Ravnica? A guild that was run by a council of ghostly autocrats who were as greedy as man in death as they were alive. Somehow they've managed to cheat their mortality through their greed, and as I'm telling this story of these autocrats, I'm going to cast Minor Illusion to kind of form up an image of what these autocrats would look like, and there's
a few gasps from these children as the spell effects come off, and a couple of them, when you went, we've got a crowd. You can see they went to dart until they realised they weren't in trouble, and a story was being told. They gradually drifted back, and now people are drifting down the alley towards you, listening. Carry on, sorry.
Many of those employed in this guild happen to be vampires or ghouls. Many foul spirits. They're the most powerful of guilds in Ravnica. Most of their rituals happen at a place called the Church of Deals. It's a lavish cathedral with soaring ceilings designed to make anyone who enters it feel insignificant and out of scale.
Why would someone make a church to eels? They didn't say eels. Sure, I'm listening.
I'd like to sort of have a little bit of an insight on how historically accurate Day's stories are. If he's sort of adding for effect, or if there's really a guild of undead, or of greedy lichs out there.
Yeah, you can insight it. And fail, obviously, based on the outcome of that roll. If you were embellishing any tale, you just let us know how accurate you think that your storytelling is. Has Day been deliberately hiding or embellishing the tale, or to his knowledge, is it all true?
What's
17.
17?
Mm-hmm.
From what Day knows, having grown up in Ravnica and been taught at the Guild of Orzhov itself, the tales are true. There are spirits that regularly float around the guild. On occasion, there are angels that show up, but they are very rare, and normally have been tied back through a contract to the council through greed. They've been corrupted. There's assassins. The guild is very one of the most popular assassins. As he'll tell the tale, is an assassin named Kaya, who has actually left the guild to hunt spirits after some very not so great things have happened to her in her life.
Okay.
You see Elu taking notes on a fairly old leather ledger that she carries, where she does little bits of art and note keeping, a journal of sorts.
I think that's a good moment that Faith makes it over with this slip.
Well, I wouldn't bother the storytelling. I wouldn't interrupt that. But I would probably talk to Ella in that case and just be like, hey, check this out. Like, seems like something might have happened with this merchant. We might have to check this out.
Can you reread the text, Harrison?
Yeah, it was what was it? Child
Ill.
Yeah, child ill. Offering reward, respectable merchant, merchant swindled. It was ask for. I keep changing my name on my thing. Ask for. Where's it gone? It's gone from my name. Vanda. From Vanda's Goods.
Well, Faith, I don't really know much about ill children, but I'm certainly happy to help you.
Yeah, I think that I want to handle this. I mean, I do have the ability to cure some stuff, so I should at least go look at it.
I'll happily come with you. I'm sure a merchant has some information on this area I could use.
They usually do. They're the ones in the know, typically.
Do you want to wait for Day?
Yeah, let's wait and let them finish up.
Okay. I might go buy some food on a stall, just for the little group. Just whilst we wait. If there's
Need
any
an extra
food available.
Set of pants?
Sure.
Cool.
Harrison, what do we find? Give me some food.
In terms of food, let's go with Borum is semi-famous for the chili. It's often named the Mount Temper 5-alarm chili in the shadow of this volcano it's next to. You have heard that it is a tremendously potent chili. People travel from the vague area around to try it. A tradition is many people who come to try the Mount Temper 5-alarm chili, often on the travels there, will carve their own spoon to eat it with. Sometimes carved from an even bigger spoon. And yeah, you know that is the main famous food here. Other than that, we have all the usual. If you have anything specific you want to look for, they have vegetarian versions of the Mount Temper 5-alarm chili as well.
Well, Ellie will take the vegetarian option of the chili, and she'll say to make it as hot as they can.
He kind of, the guy serving up sort of rolls his eyes like, oh, another one who wants it as hot as we can do it. Okay, yeah, that's a surprise.
When in warm.
You get the impression perhaps everybody turns up like, I want the spiciest thing on the menu. He sort of bowls it up and then reaches over for like condiments, so you see like chili flakes, and gives you like the say when sort of look as he begins to sprinkle it.
I'll kind of play a game of like, you whenever you want to stop, you can stop.
He smirks a little bit and keeps going. You see like a fistful of spice is going to go into this. He finishes it, dusts his hand off, and while he's looking at you, starts to reach over to the bowl and hovers his hand above it for more. Like,
I think this is good. This is good enough.
This
looks great to me. You don't want to like unbalance it.
No. Hold the bowl out of his cart to you.
And 2 more for my companions.
Also the vegetarian.
Thank you very much. In terms of seasoning, on a scale of 1 to foolish, 1 being very little, foolish being your friend, how much condiment are we going for?
Well, if it's like your typical scale is like a scale of 1 to 5, let's do a 4.
Okay. And he puts an amount of seasoning on, offers yours. And for the last one?
Just give me a bowl of chili flakes.
Tourist season, honestly. Yeah, there you go. That'll be 4 silver total, please.
There we go. I'll pay it. Hopefully. Yes, I think I still have enough. There you go. She takes it out of a coin purse that doesn't look too big.
Okay. The chili is a bit underwhelming. Except yours, Elu, which is very, very... There is very little flavour. There is only the pain. As you swallow your first mouthful, can you please make me a Constitution saving throw, Elu?
I was so hoping for it, yes.
DC 10.
Saving throw. Yes,
please.
Ooh. It's alright.
Yeah.
She's had stronger.
Yeah. It does hurt for a few minutes. Your eyes sort of sting with tears, but you manage to not be overwhelmed by it. Do you continue eating the rest, or do you leave it at that experimental mouthful?
No, I mean she's hungry.
Yeah.
No, she'll eat it. She'll eat it.
You, the others.
Until it hurts. Basically.
Yeah.
Then no more.
You're able to finish a bowl.
Yeah, okay, good.
But you do, look, Day and Faith do just begin to hear, as Ellie was talking to the occasional just from her stomach.
Question. Sorry, I just was wondering if there were like any kids around that were looking at the stand like they were hungry, or any adults for that matter.
There would have been some kids hovering nearby.
All right. I would pull out 2 gold and give it to the cart worker and say, "Get the kids some food while you're at it."
This would feed them for about a week, yeah?
Well, I'm saying like that's just for anyone today who can't afford something. Just make sure they get fed.
Yeah. All right. I can do that. That's yeah. That's very very nice of you. After not very discreetly checking the coin, he pockets it away and he's like, I can get a few more bags out. Yeah. Thank you very much.
No worries.
I'd shake your hand, but chili flakes.
I get it.
We do need directions to this merchant, though. If you've heard of this Thunder?
Oh.
Thunder?
Vanda, yeah, shame. Shame what happened there. But, yeah, your shop's just 2 blocks over. It's the one with the green, with the jade owl outside.
What happened to him?
Sick kid. Yeah, his kid's got some sort of ghastly business about her. They reckon, not doing too well. Not doing too well.
Definitely sounds like something we should check out. I might be able to help with it.
You another potion seller or a cleric?
I'm actually a paladin.
Oh. Isn't that basically a cleric with a sword?
My magic isn't quite as potent as a cleric's, but I'm a lot stronger than most of them.
I absolutely don't dispute it. Don't dispute it. I'm just a food vendor. What do I know about anything? But yeah, Vanda, he's a good man. He's a good man. Couple of minutes walk away for you, I reckon.
Cool. Well, have a great day. I hope that your business picks up.
Good luck on your business as well.
Thank you.
And are we all just heading off to Vanda's? You travel for a few minutes. Without all the extremely overpowerful seasoning, I'll let Day and Faith tell me how much they enjoyed their chili and bowl of chili flakes. I'm starting to wonder, like, is there a spell where chili flakes are a reagent and fails like, I've just saved 600 gold?
Nope, I just like the heat.
Okay.
As for Faith, I would say that, like, it was fine. It wasn't, like, amazing. It wasn't that good. But, you know, it was a meal. And sometimes getting something in your stomach is good enough.
Yeah.
Let me posture it like this. As a child, I was sold to the Orzhov Syndicate and raised in a place of undead and not so undead, and sometimes I just want to feel something. And if that means eating a bowl of chili flakes just to feel like I'm alive, then that's just what I've got to do.
No, I totally get it. You know, there's a certain rush and a certain thrill of not knowing if you're going to survive something. I think I'm going to put full of chili in the survivable category for now.
I love the, I keep thinking of the film trope where you always have, like, you know, the character who wants to feel something, like, quite often goes out and picks fights they can't win and things like that. And those are these dramatic moments of, I imagine all the cinematography of one of those moments of just being like, Day, just eating chili flakes in the rain, like, end of Shawshank. Yeah. Okay.
DM, is there anything historically relevant on the way there, on the way to Vander's?
This very much has the air of one of those towns where originally this was mining. Everything revolved around the nearby mines. All of you know that the region of Mount Temper is famous for fantastic magical crystals, gold and silver. So when like a rush of mining hit this place, it was huge. For the most part, a lot of it's dried up, other than some of like the deeper caverns, so you have things like the mining companies have moved in, and the whole thing's much more almost corporate now in how it's handled. So the town instead has a lot of old buildings and warehouses that have now been repurposed into like sports halls, dueling arenas. So it's a bit of a tourist spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine Elvitia has had some encounters with the miners, particularly those who are unethical in how they approach ruins. And
yeah, I would imagine so. I just in my head drawn so many parallels to the city next to me that had all these old huge dock warehouses, and then once all that's drifted off, have turned it all into like huge big complexes now. So yeah, you see a lot of old buildings that you know contain new things.
Cool.
You arrive at Vander's Goods and see that the door is closed, but the sign still has "We're open."
Faith, I think you can lead this.
Wait, there's a sign that says "We're open."
Yeah.
Is there like a fat guy in a coat and like a taller guy next to him in like a trench coat standing outside? Are they named Jay and Bob?
No. There is not. There is not.
I knock on the door before opening it. Just be polite. Just like give a knock twist.
You as you knock and get to open it, the door is locked. It doesn't open, despite the "We're open" sign. But following your knock, you just hear like a just a moment.
No worries. Take your time.
Thank you.
Elevator puts the thief's tool she was about to take out back into her satchel.
She's wasting no time.
Just hangs back.
It's like, I want breadcrumbs and I'm going to get them. A moment later you hear a few clicks in the door, and a person opens the door. They look tired, is the best way of describing them. Quite tall, well dressed, but they look very, very tired. Is the best way of putting it. Worry etched in their forehead. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I understand. I forgot to change the sign. I don't recognize any of you. You're obviously not from Burham. We are not technically open. There are some family circumstances prohibiting, and they're just sort of a bit adrift in their words and preoccupied.
Yeah, I just saw your notice, so I wanted to see if I could lend any help.
Oh, goodness, yes. All of you, yes.
Yeah, they're with me.
And they'll go to wring your hand with both of theirs, and just like, Vander Smallstone, please, come in. And they'll drag you into their house. Well, you see there is a typical shop downstairs, and then stairs at the back that are sort of curtained off, or like a small like wooden sty gate, suggesting that the living quarters are upstairs.
Yeah.
And you see the shop is pretty sparse and almost a little neglected. Not quite at the cobwebs level, but a lot of shelves and areas that you imagine would make sense to restock do not seem to have been restocked. And Vander just says, What would you like to know?
Well, what are the symptoms? Like, have you had any clerics in at this point? Do you have any... What kind of help have people tried to give you?
It's all gotten quite a bit beyond that, unfortunately. They say that poor Galeby, her afflictions are magical. We have had physicians. We have had a very, very helpful fellow who was was a cleric of Lathander came by, and he used several magical incantations and healing spells, and he was of no small power, I believe. He wouldn't accept any coin. And he and his companion was powerful enough that when we were done, his companion, she spirited him away. They disappeared before my very eyes. I've tried everything, everything, and therein now lies the problem, because a solution is within my grasp. I can help Galeby, but I've been extorted. I suppose now is the term. I made the mistake of going to Auntie.
Who is this Auntie?
Ah, you are not just new to Borum, but to the region then, yes. She is the witch,
yeah.
a witch in the mountain. The Worm Witch, some call her. Everyone does a shot. That's the name of the film. She agreed that she would be able to brew a potion to help Galeby, and others have gone to her before for things, and it has been quite successful. Auntie Avalon is her full name. She brewed the potion, told me it was ready to collect. I had someone tend to Galeby. I cannot leave her for long. And I went up, and she refused to give it to me. She is now making demands of me, impossible demands of me. You see, I sell books and banners, bunting, festival crafts, the things that she wants from me. Spell reagents, she says, and they fumble in like a pocket for a moment before, with trembling hands, pulling out a small, hastily scribbled note. And we're like, 4 big toes of frost giant, a vial of young blue dragon blood, and the fresh scales of a young red dragon. Dragons. It's all, and she has the potion there, and she refuses. She refuses, and I do not know what to do. That is why I have asked if anybody is able to help.
Do you mind if I look at your child?
Of course. Yes.
Even though everything that was just told to me, I still want to try just walking up, placing my hand on their hand, and trying to put 5 points of my lay on hands to see if I can cure a disease.
Yeah. He leads you upstairs. You see a well-kept family home. It looks like it is perhaps just the 2 of them. Then Vanda opens the door, and they lead you into a small bedroom. On the bed, there is a young girl of 8 or 9. She looks very pale. She doesn't look to be... I know, obviously, you're going to try it because it isn't always visible, but there's no, immediate signs of disease. It would look like she is, pale and asleep, but her breath is quite ragged. And Vanda just sort of hovers near the doorway, and they say, she's been like this for 3 weeks now. I'm giving her little bits of broth and water, or I fear she would not have even lasted this long. But by all means...
Chili flakes?
Pardon?
The chili flakes just down the street, they'll really make you feel alive.
I'll confess I haven't thought of anything quite so drastic thus far. I've kept it to what she needs.
DM, could I make a check, or could I find anything in history where there's a disease that doesn't respond to either diseases or magical healing from either arcane or magical? I'm kind of leaning towards something more of a fated or a curse kind of. I wonder if there's anything within her knowledge that.
Yeah, you can make me an Arcana check, please.
Well, that was a very lucky 18.
You would know that, to those who do not fully understand, the wrong terminology is very often used. There will be absolutely examples of people who are cursed and it is referred to as a disease. There are people who are diseased, it's referred to as poisoned. It's all very, very interchangeable. You would know that there are rumours of diseases that cannot be cleansed in the traditional disease manner, but those are normally diseases that are unnaturally invoked by tremendously powerful deities, unbefitting of level 5 adventures. I would say all of you have encountered situations where the wrong diagnosis was made, and you've seen situations where entire towns have turned out with lots and lots of remedies of one kind, and then a sufficiently informed wizard or cleric has passed and gone, oh, actually, no, there you go, it's fixed. Quite often leading into this reputation that spellcasters and healers sometimes have as just these supreme miracle workers. So yeah, you know it could very well not be a disease, Elu.
What are her symptoms?
Was that back in character?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. She returned from a day's play in good spirits in herself, and that evening as we sat and ate, she fell from the table and has not risen again since.
So I did walk up and try to put the 5 points of lay on hands into her. I'm just going to walk over and, like I said, take her hand and just be like, it's going to be okay as I'm putting that in. Yeah,
you feel that energy go in. You would notice her hand is very hot. She doesn't seem to be sweating, but she's very, very hot to the touch. And you would, I imagine, it's always difficult, isn't it? But I would imagine as a healer who is doing things like removing these effects, you would have some sort of sense of feedback, knowing that whether you've succeeded or removed something or not. You don't sense that when you've been putting energy in trying to find and burn out or remove, however you imagine the flavour of your disease cure and being, you don't feel what you're looking for there. You search around and expend the energy, but you're confident that there is not a disease here.
Can I activate my divine sense?
Of course, yeah.
Cool.
Remind me. Oh, yes. If you're not familiar with Foundry, in your character sheet, which you should be able to open just by pressing C on the keyboard, because you all only have one actor assigned to you. Or you can click the icon across the top, which is like 3 little people, and in there is a players folder, and you'll each have just your player in there. But to use an ability, if you click on its tooltip, the icon on the tooltip, it will spend it. But yeah,
I've been manually changing it. I have the character sheet open.
Sure, that's absolutely fine.
So yeah, just detecting good and evil. Until the end of your next turn, you can sense anything affected by the Hollow spell or know the location of any celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet. I'm just using it to detect the good and evil. See, like, if I can feel the presence of whatever this is.
Yeah, you feel no presence. Anything untoward in this area.
Hmm.
What does that spell look like as Faith performs that sort of ritual?
I think it's just like a soft glow that kind of emanates off of the skin for just a moment as like their eyes focus a little bit harder.
Yeah. You hear a soft gasp from Vanda. You know, they're not familiar with seeing this sort of display, particularly in their own home. They seem to be a bit in awe. Did that do anything?
No, I'm not sensing anything, unfortunately.
I will say it's rather curious that this woman in the mountains, this witch, as you call her, this auntie, that she just happens to have the right potion for this very mysterious affliction that is affecting your daughter. What did she say was her affliction, that she knew how to cure it?
She said it was something magical. She'd obviously found some sort of little cursed stone or pebble, or had inadvertently attracted the ire of some passing demon or devil or monstrosity, and they placed an affliction on her. But she said that she was familiar with it and had the means to brew a draught that would expel this diseased state from her.
What a helpful woman.
So I thought myself.
Where do the children often play? You said she came home from a day of play and then was taken ill. Have any other children
None.
fallen?
This is the first thing I checked. Absolutely, in case they had disturbed some poisonous flowers or something like that. But no, it is. She played in several places that day, all of them entirely mundane, entirely familiar to us. All of us in the care of people we know and trust. It seemed to be a very boring, normal day.
Have you heard of anyone else that might have been taken advantage of by this auntie?
I know that people have had mixed experiences with her. It was out of desperation that I went to her, you understand. She is exiled from the town, has been for some decades.
Do you know what led to that?
Bad business practices, I believe. I should have known, but...
So she's got a habit of extorting people. I don't like that.
I don't say that I thought it was a good idea. I just thought it was my only option.
Desperate times.
Indeed.
Well, you know what I'm curious about is what she plans to do with these reagents. I'm not very good at alchemy, but I am curious. Day, do you know what these ingredients may be used for? At all? Or Faith? Dragon scale, giant toad?
A stew?
I'm actually friendly with a couple of giants, and I don't like the idea of their having their toes cooked. Perhaps we go check it out.
I think that's a good idea. At the very least, I would like to have words with this auntie.
If you're able to recover the potion, I have taken out a couple of small loans for just an eventuality that this may happen. I can afford. I can give you 500 gold. 500 gold. It is more than I have, but it is as much as I could get, and I appreciate that it would be out of your time and out of your way. But if you're able to, 500 gold.
I'm not looking for your money personally. You can discuss that with them, but I just want to help.
And I think at this point, Vanda just bursts into tears, quite just overwhelmed by it all.
Let's just see how it goes.
Let's see how wounded I get. Yeah, well, Vanda, with that, can provide you with instructions to how to reach the cave that the Worm Witch has made her home in.
He won't have a grappling hook because I will take a grappling payment in kind because I couldn't afford a grappling hook.
I do not have a grappling hook. However, I do have rope and an old, terribly ugly chandelier, but a rather small thing I would not use. And give me 20 minutes.
I will take it.
And yeah, Vanda rushes off into their house, and you hear a bit of work, and yeah, they return with a makeshift flavor-wise, functionally fine, chandelier grappling hook.
How big is this chandelier? Like, she's only got a backpack.
Pretty small.
Okay. I will take it.
Yeah, you have a chandelier. The requirement is, Gigi, that if you use this at some point, you must sing chandelier as you use it. Yeah, Vanda explains that they can't come with you. They need to keep an eye on Galeby, of course. And they can give you directions on how to get there. It is about 3 or 4 hours out of town, heading up towards Mount Temper. You get halfway towards the entrance to the mining corporation, and then you veer hard off and go up into like forest tracks, and eventually you come to what's rumored to be an old cave complex that someone mined out centuries ago. So you have reliable directions to get you there in 3 to 4 hours on foot. Are there any preparations that anyone would like to make in town before you set off?
No.
Okay. Then we set off. We head out of town. As you do, the sounds of the village fade behind you as you head up into the hills. Who's leading the way? Who is the tracker for your group? And is there anything that you wish to discuss on your way up the mountain?
Elu is quite confident in sort of walking in the wilderness, finding, avoiding dangerous routes. So I think she'd volunteer. She'd also appreciate some help.
Yeah.
Or people keeping
Faith
their eyes
would
open.
be right there with you. I think just like helping navigate the way, while keeping a little bit of an eye out, just like letting you take the lead, but like letting their peripheral senses like help out with it while actually looking across the landscape.
Make me a survival check then, Elu, with advantage from the assistance Faith gave you. Fantastic. Good job she did. Yeah, you managed to find the track and remain on it. It is quite treacherous. What quickly becomes apparent to you all around this mountainside is the huge holes. You would have heard that there's a bit of an old old legend, but originally Mount Temper was pushed out of the ground by purple worms. It was a purple worm nesting area. So there's huge amounts of burrows and enormous tunnels and caverns. Many people have died just from walking into them at night. You know, a purple worm that's surfaced vertically. It's essentially like a huge sinkhole that will just drop for dozens and dozens of feet. So it is treacherous. You quite often feel like you're walking through just deep crater sort of territory, and on more than one occasion, you see areas where the texture and nature of the path clearly reaches the edge of a crater, and then you'll see new paths have come off going around it. The worms, it seems, still surface to this day. You do on more than one occasion all feel a heavy, low tremor. And looking around, you'll see undergrowth and trees sort of shift. And on one occasion, you see a tree just fully sink in about a foot and tilt slightly as a rumble passes by. And you believe that even now, the worms are continuing beneath the ground.
Does anyone know anything about these worms? Size?
You may all make a nature check to see if how much anybody knows.
-1 to nature.
Oh.
Okay. You would all know that they are very, very big. They are considered by many to be more forces of nature than something that can be like killed or driven out of town. I like to think in D&D, but very often the Tarask by most people isn't even known of. It's mythical. Many would have heard of dragons but never see them. These purple worms would probably be the equivalent of if someone's on vacation and manages to see like a whale surface and it's like I will tell everyone about the day that I saw trees shifting because I know that means there was a purple worm nearby. Very, very cool. With a 19 and 21, I would give Elu and Day that you know they are tremendously powerful and destructive and are often driven to vibrations in the ground from people walking.
To the group, I'll go like, is anyone else slightly concerned that the nickname for this witch is the Worm Witch? Just me? Just me.
Crossed my mind.
My only concern is maybe she doesn't like being called the Worm Witch, and that's why she's taking it out on the town.
Well, as long as it's not, a reference that she can control the worms, I'm okay with that. Anyway, I think it's this way.
Continue for a while longer.
Yeah, although I do want to find a hole and throw a little rock down just to see how far it goes.
Okay, yeah.
You
find a hole. You
that's
throw a rock.
Face I want to see.
Not
throw a rock. Just like a little pebble.
Go on, sir. Clarify your backtrack. Yeah, go on. Imagine
just Ellie
with a paving slab. Okay, yeah. So a little stone goes down. No sound for 3, 5 seconds, and then just. It is a deep hole, this one.
Part of me really wants to go down here.
I don't think that's the best idea right now.
I'm so glad you're here to tell me that. She follows you.
Yeah.
Continuing on for a while. Elu, you find the path comes to a large hole in the mountainside. Not as large as all of these worm burrows. It is notably smaller. But the path runs essentially to it. You find outside several old, collapsed, rotten wood like wagons and horse carts. There is also a very crudely hammered into the ground sign that, despite how crudely the sign is driven in, very neatly on it is taped. The letter's been taped on. Stay out. Private property.
I would like to check for any traps on the floor or on the ceiling, any arcane sigils, anything that you would ambush us with, like you did last time. I was going
to say you're listing off the traps I throw at you in the order I normally use them. Yeah, you can make an investigation check. While she's looking at that, what are Day and Faith up to?
I think I literally just pulled the shovel out of my backpack and tap the side of the wall to knock at the entrance.
It's a ting, ting, ting. Just sort of echoes in. Okay. How about Day?
Day's got a bad feeling about this. So as everybody's getting prepared, if anybody's paying attention, they'll see that Day is pulling out a chain that has shackles on the ends. And the chain is made of gold coins, which is his bardic focus. It's from when he was a child in the Orzhov clan. And he straps the shackles to each of his wrists so that should anything go down, he has his focus ready to go.
Okay. A nat 20 on the investigation. You look around the entrance. You find nothing. No signs of sigils or like panels. No hatches on the floor. As you look inside the entrance, Faith leans by and taps with her shovel a couple of times, and sort of as you hear it echo, and as you look up, seeing how high it goes, you just notice that you've both managed to avoid so far a single thin thread around forehead height that crosses the doorway. And it seems when you look up, it looks like it leads to a bit of a mechanism that has a dark green glass bottle poised in a bit of like a mechanism to presumably be poured or flung. So yeah, you see you found a trap.
That's a trap. I'd love to see if we can deactivate the threat without wasting the potion.
Yeah,
if that's a possibility.
You have thieves' tools and you're proficient with them, correct?
I am.
Yeah, you can make me a dexterity check to deactivate this trap.
I'm rolling too well. I'm really worried about how that's going to
it's great for me.
Later.
No, I love it because it means for combat, karma will swing back.
Yes.
Yeah, tell me if you'd like to, how you want to go about trying to disable this trap.
The reality is that she's been here before. And, there's only so many ways that humanity is clever enough to rig a doorway with a poison trap or an acid trap. So she knows the knots and she knows how hard to pull and how loose to keep it. To just untangle the bottle from the string so that they are both kind of detached and intact.
Yeah, and you managed to deactivate it and also get the bottle before it is flung. So wherever this bottle was that was going to be poured or smashed on whoever walked through, you now have it, this glass bottle of dark green liquid.
Does anyone want this? If not, I'm going to stash it.
As you do that,
oh god,
you notice that it does froth and bubble up slightly inside the bottle.
I don't have a use for it.
I would take it, but I'm worried that it will explode if I do any sudden movements.
So I don't know. Throw it down the shaft.
The ones we just passed.
Walk through there.
You could just leave it here for now. Just leave it. What are the odds anyone else is going to come around?
I don't know. It depends on how business plays out today for her.
I'll just hide it somewhere, I think. I'm really concerned that if I put it in my backpack, it's going to explode.
No, don't be concerned. Just go for it.
I mean, you could wrap it in your extra clothes and make sure that it's not going to shatter by putting it at the top of the bag afterward.
I've seen that backfire. But if you think it's a good idea... Do I have any extra clothes? I don't think she has extra clothes.
I imagine it's not a film that gets listed in inventory, but I imagine not every adventurer stands in their underwear next to the river waiting for their one set of clothes to get cleaned every day. Like, God damn it. There'd be at least one set of
I mean,
spare.
you don't know her, don't judge her. How fragile does this look to me?
It is quite a thin glass.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it outside.
It would be an odd trap if it was like acrylic and was gonna just bounce. It's just bludgeoning damage.
She has some common sense, so she's going to just put it to the side, a little bit hidden, between some stones.
Okay. And you see leaning in just a dark, naturally carved cavern that goes quite narrow and rounds a corner.
Well, I don't hear anyone answering to the knock. We may as well head in. I put the shovel away and pull out a torch. Wait, does everyone here have dark vision? Can y'all see in the dark?
I can.
Yeah, it's a bit grey, but yeah.
I can't remember if half-elves have dark vision.
I think they used to in older editions, but perhaps now don't.
It's here. Yeah, 60 feet.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yet another
the
game where
away.
Foundry's fantastic torch features are irrelevant. Okay. Heading in.
Let's just be a bit quiet, I think. Maybe a stealthier approach than the shovel to
we
the
can try that.
stone.
Hey, but make me a stealth check then, yeah, if we want to take it out.
Do we know his Faith is quite noisy? I can assume we have walked with her before.
I'm wearing chainmail, and
Yes.
I have zero as my dexterity modifier.
Do we want to have a little peek around the corner before we all go trampling in?
If y'all want to scout ahead, that's fine.
Day, apart from an incredible storyteller and repository of knowledge, what other skills do you have?
I'm good at collections. So if somebody owes you some money, I can definitely collect on that. I'm good at scaring children. I think that's kind of what I've specialized in is causing nightmares. I can summon spirits and an unseen servant. I can go invisible.
That sounds quite useful. The last two. Okay, it's good to know. Just, know the tools you're working with. Okay.
I'm good at support and hitting things with my sword.
Nice.
I feel like I want to look around the corner carefully. This is just her, her like, I'm about to enter a dangerous place. Kind of training kicking in.
Make me a stealth check, Ben, if you want to head in.
Oh, this is where we all start going real bad. 13.
You find after about 5 minutes, the cavern continues and winds round until you suddenly find that it becomes much wider. Looking around, you can see this has clearly been a length of tunnel that at some point a purple worm has gone straight through and cross-sectioned with. So you see you enter a cavern, and on the other side of it, there is the continuation of what the corridor originally would have been.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You don't need any sort of There's no sort of climb and check to get over there or anything. It's more just a bit of an observation that the worms have continued under the ground here.
So at any given moment, we may be trampled by a purple worm.
Oh, no, absolutely not. It would eat you alive. It would just consume
Well, exactly.
you
Yeah,
and the
it
ground
just,
around you.
Yeah, we'd be walking, and then it would come.
Yeah. Basically, if I feel the session is running too long, it's not Rock's fault. Everyone dies. It's worm eats you all. Everyone dies.
Great.
I mean, I
But
can
other than
probably
that-
cut our way out.
Okay. I guess we keep going.
Okay. By this point, so obviously Faith originally was waiting outside, wasn't she? Are you all pulling back together now and going in?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Continuing for a while longer. Whoever's at the front notices one of the walls begins to change in texture. The rock is very bumpy all of a sudden on the right hand side of the corridor. There is some sort of very slight lichen or moss growing on it. And the corridor continues to curve around very, very gradually to the right. Just only on the right hand side that change. The left is normal.
What
And
kind
you
of
see-
lichen?
Just looks to be a bit of a purple residue that feels sort of natural comes off on your hand. Perhaps a smaller one of the worms carved this corridor at some point, but only left, maybe it's scraped off on your right hand side, something like that.
I'd like to keep a really open eye for any more traps
Yeah,
as we go through.
yeah. Make me a perception check.
Can I also be keeping my eyes open there?
Yeah. Yeah, you can make your own. Yeah, sure. Ellie, you're not seeing anything yourself so far. That's some of the best dice I've ever seen. 24. Are you going to say at a girl every time? Every time you roll well. Yeah, neither of you find any sign of traps. You do notice, as they're looking for their traps, Day, you notice ahead that the corridor looks like it ends and is opening into a chamber. As the three of you continue and it opens up, you realise something horrible. The wall that you had seen continues out and in fact seems to have not been cave wall, but has in fact been the side of a purple worm. And you open up into a cavern.
A live purple worm?
Let me show you. It is enormous. You just see the front of a maw in front of you all. The smell of decay and sulfur is very, very powerful. As you wait for a moment, it is just there, unmoving. What are we doing?
Should we I don't know. Anybody got a stick? We can poke it.
I'm pretty sure it's dead.
Smells pretty dead.
Pretty sure isn't 100% sure. And I'm pretty sure 90% of the people who have lived to tell the tale of a purple worm has never been this close to one.
Feel free to poke it. I'll watch your back.
All right. I'm just gonna walk up with my longsword and kind of poke it.
Okay. You poke it. Day, you take... no. Yeah, you poke it. Oh, we had some nat zero. We had some nat ones in there. Yeah, you poke it. Nothing happens. I imagine realistically, the longsword doesn't even pierce with scale, but you sort of shove it against it, and yeah, nothing happens. There is no movement.
Well, it has really tough scales, so either A, it didn't feel this poke, or it's certainly dead.
So, is it just is it just lying here in this cavern, basically?
Difficult to see from where you currently are, because obviously it has opened. The chamber has opened up into an enormous cavern, and you just see like the side of its neck and the slight sort of spikes that you would know are part of the head. That's all you can see so far.
I'll tell you what, I'm not great at conversation, but I will just try to find a bit of a vantage point and keeping my eye on you. On both of you. If that works.
Sounds good.
Why do I feel like you're gonna yeet out of here the second you get a chance?
No way. I'm definitely not leaving with a bit of this dragon in my backpack and maybe a couple of the fancy reagents this witch seems to have. But you're just gonna have to trust me.
I walk forward.
Yeah, as you do, you see the very dead head of this purple worm. The jaw having fallen open, this huge maw, like a cavern within a cavern. What is your passive perception, Faith?
I believe passive perception is 15.
You do see clinging to the wall a small, pale blue lizard, a bit smaller than, say, a cat. Eyes, one like a ruby, one like an emerald. It just sort of slowly blinks its eyes, one at a time, for turning, and quite slowly climbing higher up against the wall in a very sort of gecko way. It looks... well, it's very small. Doesn't seem to be particularly interested in you.
I pointed out to the other two, hey, look at that little gecko thing. Also, this worm doesn't have eyes. I wonder how it could see.
Elo is going to just try to find like some little vantage point or somewhere around these rocky where she can keep an eye on Faith, but sort of be somewhat hidden in the shadow. I'm guessing if I go on top of the worm, I won't be able to see inside the mouth. Is that right?
If you could what, sorry?
If I would go on top of the head, I wouldn't be able to see.
No. So to climb on top, if you were to climb on top of it, you would just see the head. The cavern is just the head.
Yeah. Okay. So I might just sort of find a little spot around.
Yeah.
Sort of. Oh gosh. Skulking around.
I also walk forward and like do the head lean thing from right here to see if I see anything down there. Just like,
well, yeah. So you peering into the mouth. Make me a perception check, please, Faith. If you're looking in, you just see this. You could walk up. It's a bit of like a ramp up the jaw into the mouth. So you can see that it obviously does descend down. Oh, 24. You also hear from the depths somewhere inside this mouth the occasional like the flutter of small wings.
Sounds like something flyy is in there. I call out, hello?
Oh, oh, oh. And then silence.
Anybody home?
Suddenly, from the mouth, a swarm of sturges comes bursting and flying out towards you, driven out by the sound. They come out, initially focusing on Faith, but before we go to combat, we are an hour and a half in, so I think it's a perfect time for us to take a 15-minute break, and then we'll be back to get straight into this. So we will be back in just 15. Stick around to see what's inside my worm. And yeah, we'll pick up with the session in 15. So stay with us, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, we're back. Yes, many sturges have erupted out from the mouth of the worm, and we are going to take ourselves straight into combat, unfortunately. Alright, Gija, calm down. I'm not even... straight in there will be initiative roll.
Oh my god, that's a lot of d20s. What the hell?
Isn't it? So just a cloud bursts out.
Alright, I don't see initiative.
So if you click on the icons across the top, there is the clenched fist icon. In there you'll see all the combatants, and you can press the dice next to your character to roll initiative.
Well, I just found this button. Oh, it says there's no active combat encounter.
Ooh, that's right. I can click, if you want, on this occasion, I can click it for you and just get you in the combat flow if you want.
Sure.
Yeah. That has rolled a total of 13 for you. Are you plus 0 to your initiative?
I am, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so 13. So, top of the round, we have, funnily enough, a Sturge. The first one that comes out, flies straight forward, sees Elu there, and is going to attempt to latch onto her. It misses. Day, you're up. Elu, you're next.
All right. How many? Let's see how I can cast this. I'm going to cast Thunderclap, which is a 15-foot cube, and I want to try and catch as many Sturges in it as I can.
So when you cast the spell, it will ask you about placing a measured template. Say yes to that, and you can line up and drop the template, and it will show you before you commit to it how many will be caught as you're moving it around. So you can absolutely line it up.
Okay. So let's see here. Standard roll. Cast the spell. Yeah, so I want to do it right there.
Yeah. So when you click, it should prompt me. If you click damage now,
Okay.
it should pop up and prompt me to do... Yeah, there we go. I have a lot of saving throws to make. And depending whether they pass or save, every single one of them. Just describe what that looks like for me, Fail, as you just...
So I just kind of see this swarm heading up and out of the worm's mouth, and I pull my hands apart as far as the chain will allow me, and then I just slam them together in a burst of kind of like a clap that just echoes in this cube sounding like thunder that just spreads out and hits all of these dirges.
Nice. Yeah, it just goes off and a little bit of dust and stone falls from the ceiling. There is this horrible just burst of... It's like an extreme version of, 8 flies hitting the windscreen at once. Just a... Yeah, that was effective. Anything else from you, Day?
What was that?
Anything else from you?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, Elu, you're next. Or you're now.
Elu is going to first of all move away and roll away, take an opportunity attack, I guess.
Yeah, she will. One moment. Let's see how that goes.
Oh no.
It hits.
Hit.
As you roll away,
Hit
this proboscis goes into your side as you roll. And as you roll, you realise you're taking it with you. It's now attached to your side.
Grand.
Yeah, you roll away.
Okay, if it's on my side, then I'm not going to be able to kind of...
You are able with Sturgis to use an action to detach it from you. But obviously that prevents you from doing anything else. But that is a way to remove the Sturge.
No, I'm just going to just try to put an arrow through these two, or through this one in front of me. Because shooting an arrow to the one that's on my arm is probably not a great idea.
Okay, yeah, hits.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna attack
through.
the second attack on the other one. It's
Misses.
miss.
Goes wide, you clatter off the wall of a cavern behind it.
Is the end of my turn.
Okay. Let's have a look. This next one just comes... You just see, as all this viscera just sort of rains down, Faith, suddenly through it, there's... until it come out, and this one tries to latch onto you. It misses. That's all it can do. It is now your turn, Faith.
All right. Well, this one, I'm gonna draw my greatsword and immediately try to slash at this one that just flew up to me.
Mm-hmm. I love how I accidentally captured the lizard in combat.
Oh, it's not in combat.
No, it's a lizard.
19?
19 hits, yeah.
All right. And normal damage. Why did a third die pop in? Because I get to re-roll ones and twos. Yeah.
Nice. 11 damage. Let's have a look. Oh, absolutely blast through this.
And then I will run up here and hold really still, okay? And I'm gonna try to slash through the one that's attached to Ella.
Get it off! Get it off! Get it off! Get it off!
Oh,
Oh,
perfect.
nice.
A nat 20 with surgical precision. Tell me how you finished that.
I just literally lift up my sword like I'm gonna pierce through it, and I pierce and pull at the same time, so the tip enters it and pulls it off of her, and then just it finishes thrusting through and cuts it in half. And let me roll that damage. Critical hit. 24 damage.
Gee, let me think. Yes, it is undone. There is a single sturge remaining. Anything else from you, Faith?
I don't think so. No, that's going to be my turn.
Okay, the lizard we are ignoring being here. That is just an oversight on my part. I'll delete the lizard. The final stage, I feel like these are not intelligent enough predators that they would realize quite so quickly that all their companions are undone. So I think it's still going to come and try and attach itself to the closest person, who is Faith. It hits. Any reaction you can do to that as a paladin?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. That proboscis goes in. We are at the top of a round. Day, it's you. There only seems to be one sturge left, and it is burrowing away with its proboscis in Faith's back.
All right, so I'm gonna move up to about here, where I can see the sturge, and then I am going to try and just throw a dagger at it, at its body.
Okay. That hits.
Damage.
Cleanly, you just take that sturge off the back. It takes the dagger with it and clatters to the floor, rolling slightly. There's a bit of a painful tug in your back, Faith, as unbeknownst to you, that's just ripped out. But yeah, the last one is killed.
Nice. Well, that was pretty easy. Hey, good call on that thunderclap.
I learned a thing or two on dealing with large groups.
That was incredibly efficient. Ow, those buggers hurt.
Yeah, a little bit. Question. Was there another path that we could have taken, or was this it?
The in or out of character, sorry.
Out of character.
Oh, out of character. That's like a very crude joke and say the other entrance had a much less pleasant way of getting in. No, this is the only way. Yeah.
All right. So it looks like. Do y'all want to go inside this worm?
Well, I mean, as we're standing out here, are we at the very back of this cavern? Like, can we
Yes.
see?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
Okay. I mean, I don't think we have much choice other than to venture into this giant worm.
All right, let's go then.
Just gonna check behind me if there's anyone keeping an eye out or like anything that apart from the lizard. Which is a bit sus. Is the lizard now gone? Completely gone?
No, it's there. I just removed it from the combat tracker. It's still there, just this pale blue lizard with the alternating eyes, but just slowly. It even throughout your fight, it had no interest in anything. It was just slowly pour up. Maybe a perception check.
Is that, yeah, it's like, does that look like a normal lizard? Is that normal animal behavior? Crikey, now that it is there. Oh. Don't bug on me, Foundry, come on. Perception. Team.
The lizard itself isn't particularly unusual. As it's crawling, you do notice there is a very strange swelling in its stomach, like a single large lump. It would seem that there is something maybe inside this lizard.
But not like a baby.
No, do not. It doesn't.
Not
would
like
have seen,
eggs.
Yeah, you would know they're egg laying. This does not look like it's just holding eggs. There is a very artificial bloat to this creature.
I would like to, with the tip of one of my arrows, kind of pick it up at a distance.
It's about cat size, remember?
It's cat size.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
You're holding an arrow tip like.
No, that's way too much. But I do also have a shovel and a crowbar.
Yeah, a shovel could work for it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to put it up the shovel. As in, like, so it climbs on it.
Mildly irritated at being taken away from the wall, but it shows its irritation by continuing to just blink and slowly. It has that sort of. You can imagine it if you were to keep, like, if it was smaller, you could do the thing where you keep cycling your hands and it'd like just crawl forever, sort of thing.
Does any of you know anything about lizards? Come check out the swelling.
All right, I'll come look at it. I don't know lizards specifically, but I'm pretty good at harvesting parts and stuff from slain critters.
Yeah, just smack it with that crowbar and open it up.
Maybe see what you can figure out before we kill it.
Yeah, I'll pick it up with my hands and like feel its stomach to see what I feel, I guess.
Yeah, it seems quite uncomfortable when you do. There is very little give. You are convinced that this has something hard inside it. This isn't like some sort of growth or part of a creature. There is something artificial and hard that has found itself inside this creature.
You reckon he ate something he shouldn't have? I know cats and dogs do that. I'm not sure about lizards.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like this, if we don't get it out of the lizard, is probably gonna end up killing it anyway. Wanna hold it still for a second?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, sure. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna try to open its mouth to see if I can see down in there and see what it might be.
Okay. When you force the mouth open and look, you just see like the folds of the throat eventually, but there is an undeniable pale blue glow visible at the back of the throat.
There's definitely something in there that shouldn't be. Well, I have a way of doing this really quickly, but it is going to cause the thing some pain before I bring it back up.
There's nothing I can do to help you here.
Yeah, I'm going to shove my fingers down its throat to grab whatever it is in there, and I'm going to pull it out. Like straight up strength style. And as I remove it, I'm going to put 3 points of my lay on hands back into it.
It is not a pleasant experience for either of you.
Yeah.
It is clearly pained by the experience, and there is enough sort of physical response that you're confident that were you not to be if you didn't have healing arts, this would be mortally wounding it. But as you rip a egg-sized, possibly not an egg, an egg-sized blue gem glowing, and you pump those 3 points of healing back into the lizard, it seems to be much more energetic than it was before. It's writhing and twisting and trying to get out of your hand.
I set it back down on the ground
Straight
so it
up the
can
wall.
skitter off.
Much faster than it was before. And you see that you are holding a faintly pulsing blue gemstone in your hand.
Anyone know how to identify something like this? I have no idea what it is.
Badly. I could maybe give it a go. But I'm not great at magical artifacts. I usually take those back to the AAAA people I work for.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I can give it a go.
Here you go.
Guessing it's an Arcana or investigation. What do you want from me?
Looking it over, you, especially both of you, Faith, as you're handing it over to Elu, you realise that the glow isn't actually like a glow coming from the stone, but more just how it's catching what little natural light there is in here. It seems to be more just a bit of like an opalescent shimmer. It doesn't seem to be giving off its own light. You find yourself wondering if this would in fact be something that's magical. Is it just a rather unusual natural gem? You'll remember from earlier that Mount Temper is known for its rich variety of fantastic gems.
What type of stone does it look like?
It looks like it might be either a very strange type of sapphire, or, if you're very lucky, it might be aventurine, which is a type of quartz, a rather translucent quartz. If it is the latter, it's actually a bit more valuable than sapphire.
See, this is what you get for doing good deeds. If nothing else, we've given this lizard a bit of a longer life.
All right, well, I'll put it in my bag, I guess.
And if you're putting it in your bag, Faith, I, in turn, will put a gem in your bag in Foundry. You now have it in your loot panel. So yeah, looking back up into the mouth of a creature, you see it's filled with sharp teeth. A few of the teeth are barely holding on, and others are completely missing, leaving nothing but large gaping holes where they once were. The floor gives ever so slightly with each step that you take. Towards the back of the cavernous mouth, you just see the way the folds of the throat or the mouth sort of hang down, giving almost an effect of being like curtains.
All right, in we go. I'll watch your backs.
In we go.
We're so gonna need new gear after this.
I think I'll take point this time.
When you get to around here, it's quite dark, and you each see that that fleshy curtain is now in front of you. You are able on Foundry to move down through this. It can push aside for you as you decide, if you decide to go deeper into the creature.
Ladies
I'll
first.
pull out my sword and like make the path a little more accessible if it's just like a membrane.
Yeah, very much is. And do you step through?
Yeah.
You see Faith just push her way through and heads in. You find yourself a wide, open area, completely bare, and a sour smell hangs thick in the air. A path leads further into the worm. You see, obviously, ribs and sort of just other spiny bones jutting through, reaching overhead like canopies. Faith, you find you can either continue ahead, but there is an opening in the wall to your right, from which a very strong, very, very strong acidic smell is issuing, and a slight sound of bubbling.
Well, I'll take a peek inside there to see what's up with that. not gonna walk all the way in, but kind of like pop my head in just to see what that is coming from.
You see the floor just shifting what looks to be like a pool of acid. You can tell there is a lip, like a corner. You could look around. You imagine that perhaps this chamber or this organ runs parallel with where you are at the moment. As you're peering down into that gland, you hear sort of just behind you, and some footsteps quickly retreating.
Does anyone have any glass vials?
Nope.
Well, if we find any in here, it looks to be like it might be some acid or something, and could be useful later on.
It looks quite aged and like it's losing some of its potency. As you're looking at it, Faith, it reminds you a little of what the liquid looked like in the jar at the entrance.
Well, it's actually getting kind of old and less potent by the looks of it, so let's just continue forward, I suppose.
Get some from here. Absolutely, we can. Oh, I agree. Yes, I agree, of course.
You hear all of you just echoing chatter echoing from deeper within the creature, and the occasional just sound of like work and tools chipping away.
Yes, I agree, yes.
Arrow out. Ready.
Yeah, my sword's still out from when I cut open the membrane. All right. It sounds like something might be up here, so we should be careful as I step through this little path here.
Yeah, the tunnel trails down a bend that leads even deeper into the worm. The floor starts to become quite rough at this point, with many ridges encircling the floors, walls, and the ceiling. Ahead of you, you see a group of what looks to be gnomes. They are wearing thick aprons, long, rubberized gloves up to their elbows, and goggles. And you see they have a number of tools and seem to be scraping, taking scrapings from the inside of the walls of the worm. There's a bucket in the middle of a chamber that they seem to be throwing certain elements that they... Obviously the whole thing's flesh, but there's certain things that they clearly know what they're looking for, and we find it they're being thrown into the middle, into the bucket, and you hear chatter. One of them turns the head slowly towards you and just...
Hello.
Hello? One at the back just sort of backs off a little bit. How are you today?
Doing pretty good. We're looking for Auntie. Is this where we would find her?
Yes, of course. Why are you looking for her?
I think that might be our business.
I see. You're not customers then.
I think that would be our business.
And he sort of just turns and gives a bit of a nod to another one who steps back into a different corridor.
Well, I can certainly go and fetch her for you. If you would mind just waiting here, all of you?
Well, if you don't mind, we would actually like to go through and talk to her ourselves.
Very well. Then I will just go and let her know to expect you.
He sort of just puts his tools down, and you can see he's sort of thinking things through. He's like,
Yes, we will just go and inform her that to expect you in case she is not decent at the moment. Yes.
Why don't we go together?
We very well. Yes.
Can I do an insight check on these gnomes?
Yeah, absolutely you can. What in particular are we looking to work out?
I'm trying to put together if they're being hostile based on their caginess. Like if they plan on if it seems like they're readying for like an attack or something.
As Faith has been interacting in here, I've kind of slowly made my way up behind her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How are things going in here, Faith?
I don't know. They seem a little cagey.
So with a 24, yes, absolutely, they are a little cagey. You saw a couple of them slink off, but didn't seem to be from fear. There was some sort of look from the lead one. There was coordination in people leaving. You get the sense, just from the moments where you're lingering with each other, he's answered a little bit too quickly on a couple of things. You feel like he perhaps was expecting you to not be happy waiting here, and to not be happy going ahead, as you sort of just staring at each other, and he's shifting, and he seems a little bit more uncomfortable than you. You just get a sneaking suspicion that he's been expecting you to insist on going ahead ahead of him.
I was gonna say I'd like to check the room around, see if there's any more of those traps or things like that, particularly height traps, height-related traps, like.
And you just want to do this while this sort of standoff's happening.
Yeah.
We'll see. Given you can't really go around in front of them and be checking, I say it's perception more than investigation. But you can be taking a cursory glance around.
Yeah, I'm basically looking for similar. With pop-up, it really sometimes it doesn't really work very well with.
Oh, do you know what? You moaned about not having it. Now you're moaning about having it. When's it end with you? 20. You cast an eye. You see no.
I've been in many
traps.
Dungeons.
You see no other traps in here. But you are very suspicious how that corridor that a couple of the gnomes went down bends very hard out of sight. You're aware that it would be difficult to see what's in there until you're in there.
Yeah, it's like a. So I will communicate that looks like a bottleneck, and we don't want to get stuck in a bottleneck.
Well, this entire thing is a winding creature, I'm afraid.
I was talking to him.
From tip to tail, it's very little but bottleneck. But I see, madam, that you are quite insistent. So yes, I will permit you graciously, in good faith, and hoping that you will show us and Auntie courtesy. We will, of course, permit you to proceed through and meet with her.
How did you know that I'm good with the name Faith?
Did I say Faith? If we said in good faith. Oh, I was thinking, I've gone meta and I've said a name I hadn't, but you were word playing me. Okay, yes.
Yes.
This has been happening all day.
Well, you first. We're behind you.
Oh, that's what I said. Yes, of course.
I'm just saying, we're traveling as a group, but you can go first.
Absolutely, then. Yes, I will. I will absolutely. Please do come along. I'll just...
Keep your eyes open, Faith.
I'll continue heading in. I'll take you through the lab. And then we will get to where... I'm going to give you as a rollover from that fantastic insight check. He's very deliberately talking louder and sort of announcing himself.
Can I shoot an arrow, not to hit him, but to kind of just right on his nose, just turn in front,
You can certainly try.
Make an attack. If it's a
No, I'm not gonna hit him.
If it's an attack. How close are you trying to do it?
An intimidating distance, sort of like, don't fuck with us.
Make an attack roll, and add your intimidation modifier to it.
Okie dokie. Jesus crikey. I'm just gonna do a longbow.
So, was that okie dokie Jesus crikey? That's a new one for me.
Plus intimidation is nothing. Hold on. Intimidation is -1, so 17.
Just buries itself in the water. Ah! What is the meaning of this?
Don't screw with us.
Good faith, I said. Good faith.
We can tell your leader.
Well, this just shows violent. I am seriously considering rescinding our gracious offer to take you through to Civianti. Never in all my days. Yes.
It's okay. My friend gets a little trigger happy when she sees people are trying to fuck with us. So, how about you not?
How? Absolutely. I don't need this. This is disingenuous aspersions about get them! And
I was like so close. I was just gonna say I was gonna notching another arrow and it's just gonna go. So.
Yeah. He screams, get them. His companions look ready to leap into some sort of action. And you hear a number of cries from the room beyond. And we are going to go to combat. Don't be alarmed by what's about to happen on your screen.
There's a lot of them.
What the crap?
Nat ones, though. A lot of nat ones around.
Oh. There's like 20 people here.
Top of a round is naturally the one who is furthest away from all of you and can do very, very little. Okay. You hear just loads of footsteps inside. Something is happening within. You also hear some magic. Just a burst and crackle of what sounds like a tree growing extremely quickly out there. Day, you're up.
All right. So from what I can see, I'm going to move up a little bit. And it looks like there's like a kind of like a almost like a funnel point here for this as they're kind of moving from this room to the next. So I'm actually going to cast Spirit Guardians right at that funnel point so that anything running in or out of that Spirit Guardian is going to be affected.
Nice.
So I want to place it like right there.
And remember, it only attacks enemies, isn't it? Your allies are fine.
Yep.
It was a creature. Cool. Does it damage things that are already when it's cast, or is it when we start their turn or they move? Remind me.
When you cast this spell, you can designate any number of creatures you can see to be unaffected by it. The affected creature's speed is halved in the area, and when the creature enters the area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, it must make a Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 3d8 radiant damage. Or 3d8 necrotic damage, but since I am neutral, it's going to be radiant damage on a successful save, and half that on a... Or 3d8 on a failed save, on a failed save, and half that on a successful save.
Okay. Tell me what your Spirit Guardians look like, please, in terms of like their color.
So they're just these shining white spirits that come out. They're all kind of like hooded, and if you look closely, you can see that just like the chains that I have on my wrists for my focus, these spirits have the same kind of shackles.
Okay. I don't have anything exactly matching that. So we'll have to make do with...
That's fine.
Bursted in.
That, let's see. That will be the end of my turn.
Okay. So yeah, let's see who starts their turn, innit? You hear more cries and just, magic! Pull back! Pull back! Coming from inside. Elu, you're up.
Elu is going to fire a longbow, a sharpshooter shot to. Let me see if my macro will work. Not really good at writing macros, but what was that?
I just rolled a 10. 1d4 plus 9 minus 5?
1d20.
So yeah,
plus
1d20 plus 9
minus 5. And it was a 6 plus 4 side is 10.
Okay, who are we targeting? Which one?
A gnome. This one. This one.
Okay, and is that the correct attack roll after your macro 10?
That is right.
It does not hit. It buries itself into the wall next to him.
Second attack. I'm gonna do sharpshooter again because that was terrible. But I'm actually.
Can you sharpshoot on both attacks?
That's a really good question. Just check. Before you make an attack, you can choose to take a -5 penalty.
Cool.
More details. I think it's
I
fine.
wasn't sure if it was a bonus action thing. Yeah, sure.
No,
It's
a call. It's a call shot. Basically.
17. That hits.
That hits. So that will be that plus 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Aiming at the next one for the next attack. But that is the. I'm actually just going to take a step closer, even though I can shoot very, very far into the distance. That's it. No turn.
Do you have a third attack by this level?
No.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said you were stepping back and making another attack. I was like, is she action surging? For
No.
gnomes?
No. I
Okay.
moved. I said I could attack very far.
Right. Okay. You hear more magic. This one is inside. Remind me, what was the damage of your Spirit Guardians? Was it 3d6?
3d8 on
3d8.
a failed throw, half that on a
What
successful.
was the save? Wisdom.
Wisdom.
DC.
16.
Yeah. Gnomes. You hear screams inside as you just feel, even though you can't see it, your Spirit Guardians are doing their work. In front of you as these spirits just whistle around and attack. One of the ones in front of you, the talkative one who first spoke. Oh. He looks to try and call out something else, but his words catch in his throat as he too is just torn down. Faith, you're up.
Yep, I'm just gonna go ahead and casually walk that 5 feet up to this other one that's still up? Or are both of these up?
Oh, that one is on 0. I don't know why that one's. That's better. There we go.
All right. And then I'm just going to just be like, hey, you brought the sun yourself, I guess. And
That's so
take
cold.
a swing.
Amazing.
No!
Come on.
Mercy, please! She makes us!
9 misses.
For a second, when they call out mercy, I'm like, wait. No. And I'm going to take the second swing.
Yeah, okay. $16 hits.
Alrighty.
Nine, yeah. Dead.
And I still have 25 feet of movement. I'm just going to walk to right here. And
You hear a lot of
That's 10
commotion
more.
in the room beyond you.
all right.
So it opens
I
up and you see clearly a laboratory in sort of full disarray tables. There are a number of gnomes in here, all wearing very similar get-up, all wearing these goggles and gloves. A lot of them seem to be brandishing like ladles that are filled with acid. And they all are behind tables looking to very much be fighting you off. Towards the back, you see a couple who are slightly taller and have a bit of jewellery on. These are the ones where, at the moment, their skin seems to be almost wooden and bark-like.
I poke my head out to see what's in the room. Then I immediately take 5 feet back
Okay.
to get cover there. And just be like, yeah, there's a ton of them in the next room. If anyone has any big area of effect, you need to get it moved in there.
Spread out!
You hear,
No, don't! I can get her!
and let's see what happens here. You hear a couple of footsteps next to you, Faith. Remind me what the DC was there, Day? That's a fail, isn't it?
It's it's a fail. It's a 16.
Ah!
Another one just runs in next to you, brandishing this ladle, Faith, and then just crumples to the floor.
It really didn't have to be this way.
Yeah, Mistress won before. Oh. Oh, somehow doesn't die. Torn to shreds, but not dead. This one is going to go running up.
She's around the corner! Here, watch!
You hear. You just feel a slight pulse in the air for a moment, Faith.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
As through the corner, you...
No! What about me?
And then, too late, it goes off. It should prompt you for a saving throw now. Yes, many dead gnomes are also affected.
Oh.
2 of those gnomes got 0. I put this Thomas thing on thinking it might happen once or twice throughout the session. It's like every round. Anything you can do to react to that?
I don't believe so. Because, yeah, no.
You are pushed back, sort of around the corner. In fact, no, it makes more sense to be there. I'm just deleting some dead gnomes. Yeah, you are blown back a bit into the wall by the force of this concussive blast that goes off the spell. But ha! I got them! Day, you're up.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna kind of move up and kind of peer into the room. How many, like... I'm just wondering if I were to yell, would the gnomes in the back of the room be able to hear me?
Yelling, absolutely. Absolutely. Sound is carrying in here. You're inside a very enclosed, echoey, fleshy space.
All right. So I want to try to just kind of persuade them to maybe put their weapons down, let us move forward, you know. So I'm going to look into the room and I'm going to be like, clearly my spirits and my spirit guardians have already killed about 6 of you. If you value your lives, if you don't want to die, you will put your weapons down and let us pass. And I want to roll a persuasion check.
You hear whispered infighting breaking out. It seems the group are definitely conflicted on whether she'll kill us. Sounds like they will kill us. We can't trust what they say. They killed Giles. He was showing them through. Yes, but he was going to ambush them. This isn't my point. You always correct me. There's just a huge amount of bickering going on in there.
Well, look at it
Very
this
well.
way. Oh.
You may come through.
I want to look at Faith and I'll be like, what do you think?
Can I roll insight on it?
Yeah. You are... You are very certain that this scene, which was put on with enough force and air, that this is a trick.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
no,
trap.
they're gonna attack us as soon as we walk in there.
All right. Well then, let's go ahead here, and I'm gonna drop the spirit guardians from where we're at, just because it's a concentration spell, and we'll need to cast something else. And I am going to, let's see, how far can I see into that room? Because I guess from where I'm standing, I can't really see.
Yeah, from where you're standing, you can't at all. You know it goes around the corner after Faith.
Mm-hmm. It's 2 corners immediately.
All right. I'm gonna try and move up a little bit more to like see into the room.
Yeah.
Right there. Ah! And then it's a 30-foot cone in front of me.
The second you pop your
Okay.
head into that room, just for a moment, Day, because it was held. You see one of the ones of stone up and just throws a spell that he'd clearly been holding on to. There was a readied.
Fair enough.
You'll prompt you for saving throws now.
Oh, it hits me again too.
It does, yeah. You both shrug it off. Neither of you are pushed back by this. You feel that big concussive blast hit you, but Day, you're sort of shored up against, with your back against the wall, and Faith, you heard it coming. You've experienced this before. You just brace yourself, and you both take a bit of a blast, but neither of you are moved. Continue with your day. Sorry, your turn. Sorry, Day.
So I, after being hit by that, I'm a little pissed off. I am going to cast Fear in a 30-foot cone in front of me.
Oh my god. The Worm Witch is going to be sat there making her dinner and just hear this wall of screams coming down the way.
Is there a way to rotate that though? Like it doesn't.
If you mouse over the icon, the tile, and do control, you can rotate the effect. I think I can do it for you actually if you want.
Yeah. So I want to do it like in a 30-foot cone in front of me.
Yep.
And basically a giant, almost like what is the ghost of Christmas future looking spirit, this just cloaked spirit just kind of rises up in front of me to just scare everything in this cone in front of me.
I don't know why it's done that, so I'm going to recast it from you, but I'll just make it not use a because it's so many people. I'm going to say, don't consume a spell slot. Are the targets showing up for me? Sorry, for you all now. Okay, you see the target. So it's going to get the 2 closest, and then the 3 beyond that, if you're happy with that fail.
That's fine with me.
Cool. So we'll prompt save and throws now. There we go. 2 of them succeed. 4 fail. So that one succeeds. I will say that he is. I'll do petrified, just the first icon knows. And this one is fine. So any of the ones who were affected by that spell, the ones who do not have an icon are feared. And which fear is this? Is this just they must use their turn, or are they reaction burning?
This is, let's see, a projected plasmal image of a creature's worst fears. Each creature in a 30-foot cone must succeed on a wisdom saving throw. By this spell, a creature must take the dash action and move away from you.
Okay.
By the safest available route on each of its turn.
Yeah, that's good. I'm fine with that. Anything else from you, Day?
Nope, that'll end my turn.
Okay. This one resisted. He is going to 2, 3, 4, 5. Remind me. And he throws that scoop. One comes run up. Ah! With his ladle, which he just tries to just fling, almost like a lacrosse stick. Just a scoop of acid towards you. For Giles! His asses just hit the wall next to you. Ah! You can go no further. This one is feared. He will. He is using his full movement to try and get as far away from you as he can. Elu, it's you. It's all going off ahead of you.
Moves forward. Sorry, Faith, I just need to squeeze through. Excuse me.
No worries, you got.
She's over here. She already sees one, so she's gonna fire at the first one she sees. Sharpshooter, not sharpshooter. I'll just do like a normal one. I hope that it dies. Oh gosh.
Small personal point. I feel like a sharpshooter. When I think of a sharpshooter, I think of someone who is going for accuracy, even at the expense of damage. But that seems to be the other way around, doesn't it? It seems to be that you aren't as likely to hit, but do more damage.
I think it's kind of like you are hitting a smaller target.
Yeah.
So you might be like aiming. So the way I see it with Elu is like she's aiming for a much smaller target, like maybe like
Makes
just
sense.
right on the neck or in the eye or something.
Okay, that makes sense.
But this one, she's just, she's run out of the corner and she's shooting at the first thing that she finds for 9 piercing damage.
Dead. Pins into the wall.
Crapperoonie. I can't see anything from here.
You can pass. You can squeeze by your ally for a tile. He's got it in the same turn, in the same square as him.
Her religion forbids her from being first in line. Okay, fine. Can I just squeeze in? Ah, hello.
Ah!
Let's do. This is the. I see one with darker skin than the others, right? Like one
Yes.
that is looking more protected. Okay,
Yeah,
so
this
she's
one
like
is
a-
looking more protected compared to the others.
I mean, we did give you the option to run. Do you want to reconsider that? And that is a. Oh no! I finished my turn. Give me back my turn, DM, please.
No, you clicked it. Go on.
I misclicked.
I take my chances.
And that's the. No, it's the end of my turn.
Okay.
Oh god, I'm gonna get so hit right now.
How about you remain? You see the bark crumble from one of them as it instead launches another spell at you, Elu. It should have prompted you for a saving throw.
It's a magical effect, right? Is this the kind of thing elves have advantage on?
I think that's sleep or charm, isn't it? This is to stun you. So paralyze you.
Yeah.
Someone rolled for me. Did you roll for me?
Oh, if you leave it, I think 30 seconds, it will do it automatically. It said that you succeeded with a 20. It's like, ah!
Fabulous.
Shit! And then feet go disappearing. This is one of the ones who was feared. He also runs. He runs so far away. He also was feared. Now you are reaping the bounty of that fear spell now, Phil. This one is fine. It is going to step over. And he too gonna throw a thunder wave. Centered, focused on you, Elu.
Mm-hmm.
That makes more sense. Even though his companion's there in your face, you just see him throw this this spell out, and another forceful blast breaks out.
Ooh, it's painful. Ooh.
And he's also gonna step back. Faith, it's you. You hear another blast go off. Things sound a bit grisly in there.
5. I'm gonna squeeze past 10, 15. I'm going to go ahead and immediately take a swing at this one.
$16, that hits.
Awesome.
It had
14
It had
damage.
2 HP left. This is the biggest overkill. Just, yeah. Killed.
And then I will also just jump up 10 more feet and make an attack at this one.
Hits.
Yeah. Awesome. Swing. 9 damage.
He kills it. Just cleaving through these.
And, hold on one second. Let me see. Which one of my companions looks more squishy?
Day.
They, yeah.
Alright, bonus action. Wait, let me see that. Make sure I don't need a component. All right. I would need a bit of parchment with some holy text written on it to cast that, actually. So I guess I can't.
Okay. Anything else from Faith in that case?
No, that was all I could have done.
Okay. Back to the top of a round. He is feared, and he makes it his business to not be here. This one is fine. They are going to step up, and as they come, you see, like, this gnome Faith looks to, like, with bark skin, jumps over the table, looking to get away. But as they do, they turn and just throw a hand out towards you and go, "Acid!" It should prompt a save and throw from you now.
Mm-hmm.
What? Ah! Continues trying to move off. Day, it's you.
All right. Well, I'm feeling a little angry. I'm feeling a little beat up. I'm going to move up to about here. And I am going to throw the Spirit Guardians again.
Oh, God. So much death.
And I can't do that. I'm out of spell slots. Instead, I'll throw a Thunder Wave at the Gnome Shaman in front of me here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to cast it about there.
That it doesn't look about clip anyone to me.
You might be right.
He's just outside that. I will let you adjust that if you want to.
I might have to.
For example, if you to shift it up one tile, you'd catch two of them.
Yeah, so that's what I'll do.
Okay. Yeah, you'll need to manually target the gnome shaman on the left as well. To add that to your selection.
Let me.
Ayla, you'll come up in a second. Be thinking of what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends how many are alive.
How do I manually target it?
Alt left click. Yeah, make click damage on a spell. And it'll prompt no saving throws. I'll also clear off that. There's a couple of spell templates back here. One of them, that damage blasts out, and you see the bark crumble and shatter away. He remains on his feet, but you seem to have broken his concentration as they're both sort of rocked by that spell a little bit. Anything else from Day?
Nope, that's the end of my turn.
Okay. This one can no longer see you, so he is able to make... Nope, he remains, even not being able to see you. The legend of Day is terrifying for him. Elu, you're up.
Right, so normal attack against the gnome helper that is trying to hide under a table, I imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
Hold on, helper? Which one?
Sorry, gnome shaman. The one
yeah.
that's basically targeted.
Yeah. Hits
Still
it.
alive?
Still alive.
Yeah, he's gonna get another arrow in his face. Oops. Oh, it hits. Great. Damage. Indeed.
Tell me how you kill him.
So he gets what's he trying to do just before? Is this the one that threw
He's
some
casting a
acid?
spell. Yeah. No. What he was asked, he was throwing acid is what he was quite literally lies dead at your feet.
Yeah. So if he's casting a spell, he's gonna get an arrow through his hand as he casts it, and another through his throat.
Okay, yeah.
And she moves slightly bit forward, but sort of still taking a bit of cover on the side of this laboratory as she looks around, eager to investigate this place when it's time.
Okay.
And it's her turn.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Gnome Shaman will make his wisdom save attempt. He is so scared. Faith, it's you.
Awesome. So I'm just going to charge recklessly into this room. That's 15. Don't see anybody. I'm going to keep going for another 15. And all right, they have already rounded the corner and I can't see anybody. So
As you stood there, this area reeks of waste. You see several wooden boxes in the alcoves to your left, each of which has a single circular hole in the middle, in the top, above buckets dripping with sludge. You know, deep in your heart of hearts, what this chamber is used for by the workmen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I'm going to just bonus action Thunderous Smite just to get that up on myself for the next turn.
Okay, yeah. And anything else from Faith?
That will be it.
Okay. Top of a round, you just hear a shrill voice from round the corner. A female gnomish voice.
Well, you must have... It was magic, and I feel fine now. I gotta go back and see what we can do about this. Ah!
And you have a ladle full of acid swung at you. Clacks off your armor. Ah! And goes to step away and run.
Mm-hmm.
Will you allow it?
No, I'll take the opportunity attack.
.21 definitely hits.
No! Oh, you just startled me! You just
All right.
startled me! No! Ah!
There's that damage, and
Dead.
let me roll the Thunderous Smite damage as well.
Stop. She's already dead.
Well, it goes off.
Yeah, it goes off regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is nearly put through the wall. She is indeed dead. That's her turn. Nay, it's you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna walk up behind Faith, and I'm gonna call it again. Another persuasion attempt here. Hey, it seems like there's only about 4 of you left. Do you really want to continue down this
There are
path?
32 of us left!
No, there's not. Don't bullshit me.
Stop running! He's trying to... Come back! Michael!
You hear from further.
Fuck off!
You realise that the fact your fear effect may be still on some of them and preventing rational conversation.
Fair enough. I am going to cast Cure Wounds on myself. And then I am going to end my turn.
Okay.
Pull 6 HP back.
Nice. Elu, it's you.
Elu looks around this laboratory inside a dead purple worm. Everything in her body wants her to stop and look at everything around her. But she does hear the sound of violence ahead, she wouldn't do that to her companion, so she goes 5 feet, 10, 15. Still can't see anyone. Where'd they go?
They went around the corner.
Can I even? Hold on. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Yeah, I can just about. Let me see if I can see anything. Hold on. That one.
Oh gods!
Arrow to the face.
If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can ever.
This could have gone so differently if you just calm the fuck down.
Ha! Ha 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 ha! Arrow goes wide.
Yup.
I fear nothing!
That's even worse. That's the end of turn.
Now, you will face my wrath. Yeah!
Lobs a fistful of poison. It should prompt you for a saving throw.
Yep.
You succeed. You duck under it like, shit!
We could do this all day. You could just let us through. Seriously.
Ah!
Faith, it's you. Noises
Alrighty.
ahead are becoming quieter.
Bonus action, Thunderous Smite again.
Yeah.
10 feet. Another 10 feet.
So I would give to you at this point, you see, Faith, that there's a few things to describe. You've kind of combated through a few rooms here. So there's a couple of descriptions that I could stand to re-deliver, really. You see that there is a tear in the wall of the creature to your right, which has passed through into another organ. The floor where you now stand is flabby and thin. There are tiny puddles of acid scattered around, but otherwise the room is bone dry. You see further ahead there is another sort of membrane holding this chamber together, and the wall looks to be thin in several other places. Behind you, you instead see your way worming, as it were, into a very thin, almost cartilage type, not cartilage, thin, like, membraney corridor that maybe looks a bit intestinal. So it looks like you have two ways you can go.
Which way did that acid splash come from?
The acid splash actually came from here and then disappeared in a way that Elu couldn't see. So Elu, you would have worked out that it went left.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Or up, as we are on the combat map.
Behind you, Faith.
Yeah, I'm trying to move my token the last 10 feet of movement, but it won't let
The game's paused.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I'll unpause.
Can't see anything, but I'll ready an attack in case something runs up to me.
Okay. A few seconds pass. None of you are attacked. None of you see anyone else. You feel increasingly suspicious, but those gnomes that survive, of which you know there are few, have fled either of their own volition or through the effect of day's magic further into the creature and are no longer immediately around. And I'm going to end combat there.
All right.
We... Oh, where are we? End back combat.
How's everyone feeling?
Oh, bad enough to do this. I touch myself. I slap myself in the face and impart 7 points of lay on hands.
And what we are going to do is we've just decided in the back chat that we're going to give this another hour. So we will take a 5-minute break now just to quickly freshen up, and then we'll get back for the rest of the hour. So yeah, back in 5 where we will wrap this up. So stay with us, and we'll see you then. And we're back. Thank you. So yeah, you have dispersed the gnomes. You now stand slightly battered and dishevelled in the inside of this giant purple worm. What do we wish to do?
Which way do you think we should go, y'all?
You look back and Elu's no longer there. She's just gone back to this lab and is sort of looking at everything, picking up things that look safe to pick up.
I walk back to meet y'all. And I'll look around too, see if there's anything in there.
So you see here, the floor's quite spongy. Shelves are lining the walls of a room. Long tables, a cauldron, and a desk fill the centre of it. The shelves are absolutely stuffed full of books and jars with strange creature parts. On the desk sits an elaborate setup of gas burners, metal stands, and tubing that connects beakers filled with various colourful liquids. Across the tables lie various creatures cut open with their internal organs, organised into neat piles next to them. Looking around the room, you see a couple of things. You would see a young aboleth missing its teeth, a Medusa with her head cut off and the snakes outstretched neatly, and a barely formed red dragon wormling forced half out of its shell.
Can I check out the books to see if they have any like religious texts or anything among them?
You can, yeah. No roll needed for that, just a cursory flick through. These are all more like anatomical books and guides to like the valuable, for a variety of reasons, components and parts of animals. This seems to be a place of science as opposed to having any sort of religious subtext to it.
Poachers, you might call them.
Yeah, looks that way. I don't know, I'll keep my eye out if you want to look around.
Yeah, let's see if there's anything useful like healing potions or acid. Do you have any idea what this thing could be? The one that's brewing?
I can take a look at it.
Do you want to taste it?
I do not want to taste it, but I can take a look at it.
If I taste it and get really hurt, can you bring me back up?
Yeah, I could do that.
Is that a good idea?
Probably not. Can
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
take a look at it first? Would that be like a survival check to see if I can tell what's brewed in there?
I think the closest thing to it would be a medicine check for identifying just the combination of the chemicals and liquids together.
I'm terrible at that, and I'm not proficient, so I don't think I would be able to either way.
I would give to you that being this close and having gone so far through the creature, leaning over it, you would have that same sulphurous smell that has hit you a few times throughout this place.
It smells like that acidy stuff.
I wonder if she'd actually be able to heal the child. Or if she's just another charlatan. Because if we don't have a potion to go back to him with, well... DM, there's nothing interesting here? No healing potions, no...
Roll me a d10, Elu, as you sort of look in, as you sort of choose one of the jars to open or lift the lid off. You find inside, what was that, 3? You open one that has 4... Sorry, a large, fleshy, springy mass, and looking on the side of a jar, you see it has adult black dragon tongue labelled on it.
I mean, these probably sell for a lot of money. I can imagine.
I imagine. I mean, you could take him and give it a shot.
It's not my kind of thing.
I'll take him and give it a shot. I'm pretty good at bargains.
You go for it.
So yeah, I would like want to collect like the jars that have the labels on it, as well as the dragon wormling, just
Okay.
because I don't know what I would harvest from that, but I
Yeah.
assume that there's something there, and I would just like shove it all into my backpack after wrapping it in
become
some...
an unhealthy, an unsafe bag of leaking dripping parts. To tell you what you get based on the labels, I will be adding to your bag 5 manticore teeth, 10 owlbear feathers, 2 medusa snake shed skins, 4 basilisk eyes, an adult black dragon tongue, a grick beak, 5 frost giant pinky toes, siren's vocal cords, an adult red dragon heartstrings, and 4 kraken suction cups.
I mean, if anything, we could maybe use this to bargain with the witch. She wants her reagents back.
That's true. We could give that a shot.
You just want to kill her, don't you, Day?
Yeah, I don't think we should be negotiating with terrorists.
Right.
I mean, I'm down to try to talk, but if she says anything that seems cagey and seems like she's trying to play us, then her taking advantage of the common people is not okay.
Yeah, I'm in support of that. We don't need this. Whatever she is, worm witch, misunderstood exile, whatever, killing more kids.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Or creatures. Okay. Onwards. I am going to second wind. Just before I step somewhere where I should.
How is everyone doing on health right now?
Halfway.
Yeah.
Halfway?
Yeah. I mean, I'm down about 8 points, so I'm pretty good.
All right. I would give since I'm right there, do you mind if I touch your shoulder really quick?
That's fine by me.
Oh, I'm talking to
Oh.
I love that you
Sorry.
just actually responded that. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
All right, I'll reach out, my hand glowing a little bit, and I will put 5 points of the lay on hands into Eluvete.
Elevate.
Eluvete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. With that in mind, then I'll save my my second wind. She kind of, you see, like, oh, that feels actually much better. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. You know, we got to look out for each other in these situations.
Got your back.
So I am down to 5 points in my lay on hands pool.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and move forward, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
She can't help herself but like check at least one of these chests because she just like it's just everything. There could be a treasure everywhere.
Roll me a d4.
Don't like reach in, like dump it out.
Oh, sorry, I do one from before, yeah. Roll me another d4, DJ.
Mm-hmm. 2.
You find a jar that is labeled Hag Fingers.
Cool. Another thing for... How many are there in there?
4.
4. Okay, she'll put it in the bag. Got one more for you, Faith.
All right. I'll wrap that up as well. I'm assuming that they had like a lot of packing stuff back in the room where they were
Yeah.
harvesting. So I just grabbed a bunch of that and like wrapped everything in that before putting it in my bag.
Okay.
I fucking hate hacks. Alright. Where did they go? Is there any tracks? We know one of them went this way.
Yeah, you know one went that way. It slides downhill further down here.
Yeah. And then this is the one with thinner membranes.
Yeah, a smell begins to reach your nose. To be polite, it is a stronger, much stronger version of the smell you smelt in the room full of latrines. You have a sneaking suspicion on what part of the purple worm you may be approaching.
Do we see these gems on the other side with our dark vision?
Gems?
Glowing rocks.
Crystals.
Ah, yes, sorry. Yes, you do. You also hear a slow, ponderous footing and see an Otyug leaning forward, just eating some of the refuse on the floor. Its eye tentacle just turns up and sees you and blinks a couple of times before it resumes eating its filth.
Okay, now I'm stepping slowly backwards from here, I think. Elle's gonna step away from that. Maybe we go the other way.
You come a little closer just to eat some more refuse. You become convinced that it can see you. It just doesn't seem to be particularly bothered by your presence. Just on the floor.
All right. If we want to wait here for a second, I am curious what might be on the other side of this rectum.
Right?
Just gonna wait for it to clear out so we don't startle it on approach.
Well, the Otyug. Yeah, after a few minutes, it drifts to a different part of the chamber and continues eating. Oh, what you're looking at, sort of where you ping? Are you looking at the wall here? Are you, or are you just pinging where you were?
I think she was just holding.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna step forward a bit, see if it tries to see it, see what it does when I step forward.
The eye stalk just turns around and sees you for a moment, but then after watching for a few moments, it turns and just goes back to what it's doing.
All right, and I see this little alcove right here, off to the side now.
You do.
I'm gonna slowly walk so as not to startle it into here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You step up. The others, unless you're following, you see Faith just head off into this smelly area that smells a smelly smell and then disappears. Also, just notice, GJ, you've shifted over quite a lot in your chair compared to before. I can rearrange you if needed. Oh no, perfect. Okay. So Faith, stepping in, you see sinewy hide covers the floors, wall and ceiling here. There are work counters and alchemy equipment such as piles of test tubes, gas burners and sharp tools about the room. Benches and shelves are stuffed full of jars filled with odd items and large tome-like books. In the southern section of the room, a small cabinet rests right in front of a large curtain that spans from the east wall to the west wall. There are many potions in here.
Yeah, all right.
And you see, so on the south wall, you would see is a curtain.
I think we might have found the area. I'm gonna walk over and start looking at the potion bottles, and see if any of them are labeled or anything.
Faith, did he say what the potion looked like?
Not yet.
Hey, you hear that? I hear that.
What was that? Where'd that come from?
Sounds like it came from the south.
Oh, get back, Auntie. Get back. They're here.
Sounds like they're in there.
We'll take care of them. Don't
What
you
do these
worry about that.
potions look like before I step forward?
Different types of bottles. Some of them are just in very, very functional, like conical flasks. So others have slightly more ornate, fantastical ones. Very few are labeled in here.
Do I see any ones with a dark red coloration? I'm just assuming, being a paladin, I would know what a healing potion looks like.
You do see 2 such potions behind the glass door of this cabinet, along with several others that you don't recognize.
I would like to notch 2 arrows and hold an action to shoot anything that approaches Faith.
Yeah.
Is the glass cabinet locked? Can I test it?
Why don't you go over and find out, babe?
Am I not right next to it?
No, sorry, it's this one I'm pinging, next to the curtain.
Oh, that far. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna mess with that. What's on this shelf over to my immediate right?
To your immediate right, as in this one if you're facing into the room, there are several jars and vials containing fleshy and plant-like parts and components. There is one bottle on that one, a tall, almost test tube with a vividly bright green liquid in. Much more so than the acid you saw earlier. You do not recognize it. In fact, as you see, there's a thick yellow, almost like skin or layer on top of the green.
I'm gonna go ahead and grab that. Just like in my... Yeah, I'm just gonna grab that, and does it have a stopper on the top of it?
It does.
I'm gonna tuck it into my bra.
Okay. A curtain parts. You see a large, hairy arm, higher than you initially expect, as a hulking bugbear pushes his way in and sees you all. Hey, what? And is that where? What was your trigger, Jija? Attacked or just seeing?
Something coming towards Faith.
Technically, it's come through a curtain towards her.
In a hostile way or in a...
No, but you didn't specify an hostile way, so it isn't coming through. It's coming. Something has come through the curtain into the room. Would you like to fire or not?
No, I'd like to hold just to... She's good with words, sort of.
Okay.
In here!
Hey, it's all right.
Another
We're
one
just
comes
here to
busting
talk.
through, both wielding heavy clubs.
We're
Morning
here
stars.
to talk.
Well, we're not. Boom!
Shoots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we roll initiative?
You should.
Hey, decent initiative that time.
Oh, no, not that one. So, first up is Faith.
Yep. Bonus action Thunderous Smite.
Oh, she's got the magic. Be careful. Be careful, Auntie.
See, he leans and calls back to the curtain.
They're like you, but bigger.
Alright, so my sword starts to spark with electricity, and I'm like, alright, you asked for it. I take a step forward to this one right here, And then I am going to immediately swing. Oh.
Nice.
22 hit.
Yes.
Damn it. Alright, so 12 slashing. And let's see. Back over to spellbook so I can roll my smite damage. Thunder smite damage. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put a second level divine smite on that as well.
Okay.
How do I make that work?
If you roll the damage of it manually, and I'll just manually add it on.
Alright, so second level would be 3d8. Oh, no. I accidentally went
That's
for...
okay. Whilst you're working that out. Oh no. Yeah,
Oh, I accidentally rolled 4 of them.
That's alright, I can
only-
click on it and expand it out. So the last one was a 2. So we removed 2 from that.
Alright.
Okay, so is that an additional 15, yeah?
Yeah. So that is 32 damage.
Yeah, it goes down. First one's down. Carved. Anything left from you? The other one's like, Gareth!
Well, I still have my second attack. I will take a step over and swing on that one.
You'll pay for this.
Not
Famous
funny.
last words.
All right, and yeah, I'll go ahead and put a first level divine smite on that as well.
Okay.
Girl.
First, let me roll.
I had a
the,
girl.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, wrong button. Critical hit. There we go. And
So many. The dice stop.
yeah,
It's
3
'cause they're
ones came up, and then they got
huge.
rectified.
Yeah, huge. You almost drive this into the ground, but he manages to just grab onto your sword and sort of twists it away a little bit. He's heavily wounded.
I
heavily.
did say that I put a first level divine smite on that as well.
Oh, is that not rolled already into it? Go and roll it.
No. All right. So since it's a crit, I'm gonna roll
Yep.
4 dice.
Yep.
Palazzo.
I don't know what you're doing, Fail, but I love it because it keeps looking back. It looks like you're looking back and you are beholding the viewing globe as per Zordon's instructions.
So that's 35
16.
damage altogether.
You kill it.
All right. Well, they shouldn't have come at us.
I did say you were good with words.
Anything else from you, Faith?
That's my turn.
Okay, Elu, it's you.
I think I heard them say there was someone behind the curtain, so should be really, really careful. Is there this curtain? Is it being held by something I can shoot at to make it fall?
It's a full rail across the top.
Okay, I'll take that as a no. Okay. Well, first things first, let's go get this potion. Is this cabinet trapped or locked?
You can make me an investigation check if you want to spend your turn inspecting it for traps, or you can just, as part of your movement, smash it and risk it.
Nope. I'll check.
Okay.
She knows better.
Difficult to tell. You find no obvious wards or like spring loads or tripwires on it.
Okay. I think that was. I'm just gonna take a step back. I think, and that's the end of my turn.
Okay. I've deleted someone, haven't I?
Yes, it threw a day.
Oh, Day! Day! Can you remember what your I don't know why my combat tracker is looking different on different screens. Can you remember what your initiative was, Day, before?
It
What you
was
Just after Elo.
Oh, okay, that worked perfectly then. Okay, Day, it is you.
I mean, we expect that there's somebody behind that curtain, especially with the way that the bugbears were acting. I am going to cast invisibility on myself. And then I am going to hold on. This is not working from there. So. And then I am going to just take a look inside the curtain. And that'll end my turn.
As you glance through the curtain, you see crouched in the corner a masked, goggled figure. Looks to be an elderly gnome with a mask around her face with a few sort of breathing areas. Her eyes immediately move to you despite your invisibility as you go through. And she will throw a hand out towards you. She absolutely can see you through your invisibility.
Ooh.
A bolt of acid hits you very, very heavily in the chest. Imagine being invisible, you perhaps say part of the curtain, and it just into your chest.
Don't think I can't see you.
Ouch.
I can see everything.
That was her held reaction for someone came through the curtain. Anything else you can do? You are able to back up, unless because of your full movement.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to back up. I'm pretty wounded at that point.
Who sent you? Who are you here on behalf of?
What do you want to take that?
Well, we came here because apparently you promised someone a cure, and then you tried to extort them for magical spell components, and I don't really take too kindly to that.
Vander! It's just good business. He has nothing to be complaining about.
That's not good business. That's predatory business. And I charge... Is it my turn?
It ain't your turn yet, I'm afraid. That was her that was her reaction.
Dag. Alright.
If I give you the potion, will you leave?
Well, considering you just had your brutes try to kill us, I think we're past that.
Very well then.
Is that what everyone was feeling? Let me check in with the party first.
Yeah, of
How's
course.
everybody feeling about this person?
If you want to kill her, you can kill her.
Elo is more lukewarm. Let's just make sure she can't hurt us and then steal the potion. Make sure she can't hurt anyone.
Fair enough. I'm down to make sure she'll never hurt anyone again.
I'd still pretty much like to know what she's doing here, just, for knowledge's sake. There seems to be a lot happening, and maybe others could benefit, so maybe we can, interrogate her first. I assume you're just running through the curtain already.
Well, when it's my turn, that was
Alright.
going to be the plan.
Elo seems conflicted between this woman being a font of knowledge and her being a witch.
Yeah. She, a few seconds pass, nothing happens. Faith, it's your go.
She's holding another action. Well, I'm gonna charge in.
Okay. The second, indeed, that you poke through the curtain, you see this shimmering cube of pink and purple energy above her head, which is just in your direction. The second that you're visible, she's going to attempt to cast Confusion.
Oh no. Oh.
It should prompt a saving throw from you. Oh no, ignore that D7. But it should have prompted saving throws from you all.
Oh yeah, I see it. Ooh, dang.
Ooh, okay. Faith and Day, unless you have something about these, you are both confused by the spell. So, in terms of how that would work with... Let me just have a check on something. Okay, so you obviously have made it through the curtain before you then become confused, Faith. So at this point, can you roll a d10 for me?
Yep.
In fact, where is the additional information shown up for me? 1 second, let me just quickly go. It isn't having all the information I expected it would in here. There we go. You have rolled a 1. Let's have a look. The creature uses all of its movement to run in a random direction. So I'm going to roll a 1d8. We're going to go clock radial. So you burst through that curtain, and then you're suddenly... You just wheel on the spot, and you're going to try and head the rest of your movement in that direction I'm pinging. Colliding heavily with the cabinet. I'll let you move your character.
Alright.
But yeah, you just sort of slam into that and almost like fall on the spot and turn. I believe that you will do that with all of your... Yeah, the creature doesn't take an action this turn, unfortunately. That is you, Faith.
I'm trying to move back, but the game is paused.
Oh, sorry, of course. Yeah, there we go. Elu, you are not confused with a spell. You see it blast out and wash over you, and then suddenly Faith is staggering all over the place.
Elu is very confused to see Faith just run in and run back. But, the plan is to go in and kill this person. So she's going to do just that. And she is going to summon her fighting spirit to give herself advantage on these next attack, which is going to be a sharpshooter. So I'll roll with advantage with a -5. That hits.
Oh, that hits.
So that is damage plus 10. She needs to make me a concentration saving throw, please.
She succeeds with a 20.
This is no good. She's going to do the exact same thing again. So I'm not sure if Fighting Spirit affects all the attacks. I would actually have to just check that for a moment.
It's
a bonus action. Sorry.
Okay. I was about to say she will use Hellish Rebuke, but she will not, because unleashing a held action is a reaction. So, yeah, she can't do anything about that.
Bonus action, I can give myself advantage on weapon attack rolls until the end of my current term. So this is going to be fun, because I'm going to shoot again with Sharpshooter.
Okay. Oof, hits.
Right. Oh, plus 10. Sorry, I didn't click it. So 21.
She fails her...
You're not confused anymore.
Yeah, the confusion just drops off.
Awesome.
You wonder why your hip hurts, Faith, and has a cabinet wedged into it.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, because I didn't roll the saving throw again at the end of my turn. I'm pretty sure that's how that one works.
Yes, yeah, you're correct as well.
Action search. So 2 more
Ooh, okay.
sharpshooter attacks. Because this is a bad lady. We don't like her.
Yeah.
Ooh, is that the same?
Looks like, yeah, hits. Oof. Yeah, just built arrows flying into her.
And last one.
It's there on the table. Just take it and go.
It's too fucking late for that, lady.
Why am I turning into Edna mode as time goes on?
Gone from Psycho Mantis to Edna mode.
I'm very sad that none of these were critical. So that's 17.
Yeah, just you are. Several arrows protruding from her.
And she's going back behind the curtain. See you later. Smell you later.
If I did the math on that right, that's like 71 damage to her.
Yeah.
And I can do that next time. Not the action source, but that's
Hey.
the end of her turn. And she
you're
kind
up.
of turns and goes like, is everyone okay? You guys don't look confused anymore.
Feeling a little confused, but I
You
mean,
shouldn't be anymore, though.
I don't know what happened there. I don't want to go back to that curtain.
Me, I got a hit pointer from this freaking cabinet.
So I'm just gonna stand back and cast Cure Wounds on myself.
Sounds good.
Good call.
Okay.
10 back, and that'll end my turn.
Okay. Next up is Anti-Avalon. You hear,
It was just good business. You had no business. No, you'll regret this. You'll all regret this.
and you just hear, and the curtain ripples, wafted in a heavy breeze. Faith, you're up.
Well, I step back forward through the curtain. Is there a vial on a table over here or anything?
There is.
I will grab that and put it into the other side of my bra.
Yeah, it's a
And
tall
then-
bottle with a single twist in the glass, like a single loop going up. And inside there is a warm pink liquid.
Awesome. And then I'm going to... Do I see anything else in this room at all? I will gather all of those potion recipes, and I will also, is there any carrying, bag or anything that to be... All right, yeah, I'll start loading all of the potions into the bags.
What about the treasure box chest? Is that all part? Is there like a small confession that she did do that to the child? Like, or is it just like in general she does do this kind of thing? Like a curse? Was it a curse? She just likes. She's just curious about curses. Okay.
Hey, Harrison. Oh, okay. I can hear you.
That's probably fixed now. What a time for voice mod to decide to apply an update. Thank you for the heads up, Dutch Dungeons. Terrible software, don't recommend. So yeah, you have the potion, you have the reagents, you have a fair bit of loot. Is there anything you would like to do here before you return back to Burham?
This person does not deserve to be alive anymore if they're literally creating diseases just to extort people.
Indeed.
I am gonna take this book. Since she dimension doored, I imagine we're probably not going to be able to find her. I'm going to take this book so I can present it to the people of the town so no one gets swindled by her again, and people can form a party to come out here and finish the job that we started.
Or I can make another session for the three of you.
That'd be cool.
So with all of that information, returning back to town, I don't know how hard your cutoff is, Fail. I'm just being very conscious of respecting your time. On returning to Burham, you are able to apply the draft to the child. Let's to Galeby. Let me get that music back a bit more. It works. She almost immediately awakens. Vanda is overcome with emotion, understandably. Galeby does not seem to be particularly any worse for her experience. She doesn't have any memories. She just remembers coming home from playing a few weeks ago. She's very hungry. And she just remembers being at the dinner table and then nothing until now. Vanda is, yes, extremely emotional. They really try to force this 500 gold on you all. Their thanks are endless and through tears.
Well, if they insist and they feel like it's something that they can afford, of course we would accept the money and split it all equally. I'm assuming everyone would be cool with that. And yeah, then we would probably just I would try to find a place to unload all of this component stuff so I can split that money with the party as well.
Yeah. After Vanda being a merchant about town, they can definitely direct you to the right sort of alchemical or component trader who's not going to swindle you. And across all those components, you can net almost another 1,000 gold. Some of those parts are extremely rare and valuable.
Awesome.
Elevatier is going to take a little bit of that money and fund a small expedition back to the Purple Worm to sort of see the remains of the laboratory, anything that we hadn't seen already, take very detailed anatomical drawings and sketches of the worm, basically reposits all the knowledge.
Yeah.
She will write a paper and she will send that to her patrons who will have no idea what to do with this because it's not usually what she does.
But it's like, what?
Well, I thought you were going to get some sort of ruins.
Okay. And
never specified that it couldn't be organic.
No, that's true. And the guard of the magistrate's informed about what's been going on up there. You have the journal submitted as evidence. The town is absolutely steeled against her. She is declared a public enemy. People are volunteering to come on this expedition. A number of guards go with you. Everyone wants the witch gone. but she is not found. Whilst you're at Bear, she remains at large for now. Is there anything else that any of you would like to say or do before we wrap up the adventure?
Well, knowing that the witch has teleported herself somewhere, I am going to pay messengers to head out to all of the closest towns, just to keep an eye out for her, and see if we can get word on if there's been any sightings, so that we can eventually track her down and put an end to this.
Yeah. If you're remaining together, I would say that a week or so later, you do get alert that a town has had someone arrive of that description, and we will use that for the plot hook for if the three of you find yourselves available to run a follow-up session to this. In
the meantime of that, I think that Faith is gonna go around and find as many people living in poverty as she can, and give all of them 50 gold each. Any families that are living in poverty, and give them all 50 gold each, just to help them get back on their feet a little bit better and help them live a little bit better of a life.
Yeah, you are all very, very celebrated in Burham as a result of these actions, and then there's a sudden quality of life improvement as a result from your visit. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. This has been the Worm Witch, which is a mad venture from the Mad Cartographer. Full disclosure, I work for them. But yeah, that's available on their web store. I've been Harrison, your DM. In terms of where and when you can find me, I DM Fragments every Tuesday evening. That's a long-form RP Demiplanes of Dread campaign. I'm also in Dark Echoes, Lukalok's Curse of Strahd campaign, every other Saturday. And I tend to run a lot of these sort of one-shots. We've got a lot of guildies, we've got a lot of initiates, a lot of players who don't currently get a huge amount of screen time in shows in TPK, and I'm on a little crusade to run all sorts of one-shots so we can get more people in the main cast of filling up those shows. So yeah, a lot of calls and shows posted in Call to Arms. If you're wanting to run some D&D and you're watching this and you're not in TPK yet, check out TPK Roleplay. Come join us. Great community, growing community, a lot of games. We'll go around the table to say who you are, who you're playing today, where we can find you, any projects you're plugging. We'll go in overlay order. So starting with Gija, please.
Hi, I've been Gija. I just want to say thank you to Harrison for hosting and for organizing this, and to Wan for the amazing artwork that I've seen very much in her style. And you can find me at the Curse of Strahd Discord, and I've also written a guide to running Strahd as a female version of the game. If you want to check that out, it's on the DM's Guild website.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gija. On to Fail.
Hey everybody, I'm Fail Prime. It's been a while since I've jumped into some TPK games. I'm just getting back into the loop of things. You can find me on Twitter at Fail Prime, find me on Twitch at Fail Prime, and keep an eye out because a Singularity is coming.
You can plug that in more detail if you want.
Well, Singularity is going to be another TTRPG channel in the same vein as TPK. We are going to have a bunch of different games running, and at some point, because of the nature of Singularity, all of those games will eventually be kind of as one, so they're all connected somehow.
Nice. Absolutely love it. Thank you very much, Fail. And on to Crimson.
Hey y'all, I'm Crimson Galaxy. That's Krimsin, because I'm not me without a little bit of sin. And today I am just going to plug a couple of my games. First off, you can find me on Twitter at sin_gal. On Mondays, you can find me over on Party Wipe Games playing Avatar Legends at 5 p.m. Pacific time. On Wednesdays, we have 2 episodes left of our Isekai University campaign. And honestly, that one's just going wild. We're literally deciding the fates of multiple worlds right now. And it's pretty cool. On Saturday, you can find me playing Curse of Strahd over on the Fantasy Grounds Twitch channel. And starting back up next week, we're going to be continuing our Call of the Netherdeep campaign over on Fool's Moon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for being great players. That was thoroughly fun. My first time running this particular one-shot, although I see it in a work capacity all the time. It was a lot of fun. So hope to have you all at my table again. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we will see you all next time.
Bye.